draw. It was Dvorsky 2 games ago in Dallas that had the 2 faceoffs. Now, he won the first one, but the Blues iced it. This time, Dallas wins it. Shoot, they score! Unbelievable! The Stars win the draw. And for the second consecutive head-to-head game, they break the tie, this time with 1:07 to go in the third.
Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues from the other night as the Blues lose the game. It was close. It was late. Perfect best-case scenario
it was
for
the biggest
Blues.
story in St. Louis sports on Tuesday.
According
what are you talking
to
about,
some,
man?
My Twitter fans disagreed.
Well, you framed it incorrectly.
So, Alex, the Blues are going to play a game tonight.
Not just a game. The Stanley Cup champs are in the house, huh?
I truly don't know who's playing for the Blues.
The retro jerseys are back.
Now, the bad part is I'm not the only one that doesn't know who's playing tonight. The coach also isn't sure who's going to be available.
He knows who's playing.
He said the following to media at Morning Skate today. Quote, I don't know who's in tonight. Neighbors, Kyrou, they're going to see how they feel. Sonny's going to see how he feels. Unfortunately, I just don't have answers for you. Said I'm not surprised 63 and 25, Neighbors and Kyrou, want to try and play. I'm not surprised 70, Sonny,
you knew who
wants
they
to
were.
try and play. When you're a hockey player, you don't like watching, whether it's an injury or a coach's scratch, you just want back in. Number 25, Kyra, in particular, he's been playing really good hockey, so he wants to continue to build off of that. Alex, I saw this today, and my reaction was not, oh, man, what are they going to do? My reaction was not, oh, boy, that sucks. It was, okay, another game. Probably lose. I've reached complete and total acceptance with where the Blues are at. I don't worry about the wins and losses anymore. I don't get mad about the wins or the losses. I guess I get excited because my son gets excited when they win hockey games, and that's pretty much it.
No, you need to sit Luka down and explain to him, Luka, this is going to be a bad year for us, but we're going to thrive like the phoenix from the ashes after this season.
Luka now runs around the house saying, let's go, Blues! Bum, bum, bum. And he adds the bum, bum, bum part in now. He's just adding more and more. And I'm like, buddy, of all years for you to go all in on the Blues.
Yeah, no.
This was not it.
He doesn't understand it yet.
Cheaper hockey tickets.
Yeah.
Cheaper tickets to go out to Enterprise Center.
Take advantage of that.
Have you also reached acceptance?
Oh, yeah. I think I reached acceptance on that back at Christmas time.
Do you think most Blues fans are there?
Yeah, because the Blues fans that I see react to wins or losses, a majority, which isn't all of them, but a majority are happy when they lose and upset when they win. Because I think the writing is on the wall for this team. You're underperforming. You've been inconsistent. Look, if you're inconsistent on January 29th, there's no finding consistency. Like even last year, where we still cite the run that they've been. They were consistent from New Year's Eve on. It's just the results weren't backed, and then the results started coming in. You know, I go back, Jim Montgomery had a quote when he was in Montreal, and I think this was back in November, if I remember correctly, November, December, and they asked him, like, when do you know what your team is? And he said December 2nd. So... yeah.
You think he knows?
Yeah, I think he knows what this team is. So when you're reading off that quote from Jim Montgomery, all I'm thinking in my head is if I'm Jim Montgomery, I go to Kyrou and Neighbors and Sundqvist and say, no, I know you want to come back, but no. You've been unhealthy. You've gotten injured. You stay where you're at. We'll play the guys we have, and we'll get you back when you're close to 100%.
Can I give you a differing perspective on this real quick?
Sure.
Just the devil's advocate.
What does it hurt if they play?
It doesn't matter, man.
No, it doesn't. And look, like I know I sound like, oh, you just need to keep losing. I do think there's something to the effect of losing. I said it yesterday, an ethical tank. I do think there's something in terms of losing close hockey games.
Sure.
Like, you may not think so. I think it's important. If you go out there.
I think you need to occasionally win.
If you go out there and get your butt kicked by 5 or 6 goals every single game, like if every single night you take the ice and it looks like what that Colorado Avalanche game looks like,
agreed.
Then this is a bigger problem for the team.
100%.
So I think it's important to have tight hockey games. It's important that Dvorsky and Stuggerud and Stenberg when he's up here and Logan Mailloux and Joel Hofer, it's important that they see what it takes to be in competitive games. But yeah, I've come to the point, and I think a lot of Blues fans have, that they look at this and say, this is a bad year. Make the best of it. Make the best of a bad year. Don't be the 10th overall pick, the 11th overall pick. Get a top 3 pick, fix your problems internally, and come back and try and make it better next year.
So Doug Armstrong spoke with Channel 5 yesterday, KSDK. Corey Miller posted a piece of that conversation on Twitter. I wanted to play that for you, Alex, because I think his reaction to the season resembles what a lot of fans have been thinking about the season. Go ahead and take a listen.
Yeah, obviously we're embarrassed for where we're at in the standings. It's been a really poor year. I thought, we didn't play well our second game of the year, but found a way to win in Calgary. Then we played an excellent game in Vancouver, and I thought that would be the start of something that we could build off of, and it hasn't gone that way. It's been, as I said, it's extremely embarrassing. The disappointing part is we don't have a foundation that we fall back on any given night. We don't have an identity that we play to. Every night it seems to be something different. And until we find something that has a solid foundation, that this is who we are, this is what we go back to, we're going to continue to have these games where it's something different every night. And that's something that I work with the coach on every day and we talk about every day. Unfortunately, we just haven't found it.
He said it's embarrassing multiple times. Yeah, no doubt. I would also add this. They have basically had an identity for 2 months out of the last 4 years. They've had 4 different coaches in that span. Three different coaches in that span.
I don't know who the 4th is that you're adding on to.
fired
You
a
trying
while
to
ago.
fire Montgomery, man?
No. They've had 3 different coaches in 4 years, and they, for 2 months, had any semblance of an identity.
Yeah.
That ain't great, man. That's not the way that this is supposed to be. And so I don't think that this is a coaching problem. I refuse to believe that. I don't think this is a hey, Steve Ott, figure out the power play, please, problem. No, the power play just doesn't have good personnel.
I was going to say, hint, hint, the power play actually still struggles.
Yep, it's still terrible.
Who could have thought?
This is a personnel issue.
Yep.
And it's been a personnel issue for 4 seasons outside of a really good 2-month stretch last year. And now we are once again seeing that show up this season. Doug Armstrong voiced all of the concerns that we've heard from Blues fans. I think we all expected it to look different this year. It obviously very much has not. And very soon, I think we're going to start seeing some movement across the NHL. You saw last night, Artemi Panarin was held out for roster-related issues. It was not an injury. It was hey, we're keeping this guy healthy. We don't want him to get hurt. We're going to trade Artemi Panarin. I would suspect you'll start seeing movement across the NHL sooner rather than later prior to that Olympic break.
Yeah, side note on Panarin, if I'm a Blues fan, just don't let him go to Washington. Because if the rumors are true about Washington with Kyrou, you don't want Panarin to go to Washington to keep that stove hot. Look, what he said about the identity to fall back on, this was the conversation we had back in November when he was on with BK's favorite coach, Bruce Boudreau, whoever you want to pronounce. When they asked Doug about the struggles, and he said, our goaltending has been poor, and he said, we have nothing to fall back on when our game doesn't play well. And it's been that same narrative this entire season. You're right. It's been the same narrative with the exception of a head coach firing bump that put the Blues in a little bit of a hot streak down the stretch and making the playoffs or missing the playoffs by a few points. You know, when I hear the quote and I think about it, it's like, okay, well, what team had a fallback? You know, what team had that identity? And I go back to the stretch where they were in the playoffs every single year from 2011 to 2021. They had 2 different coaches in that time frame. 3, really, if you consider Davis Payne, 2 Ken Hitchcock, and then 4, I guess, Craig Berube and then Mike Yeo. There were coaching fires, but there was a sustained stretch where Ken Hitchcock was there. And they went through different cores. They went through different leaders from Backus to Petrangelo, O'Reilly with Steen and Jackman and Kachuk. But you know what the thing that they had every single game was? Every player that stepped on the ice bought into what the coach was delivering to them. And I think that's where this problem lies. They got a group of guys that just aren't willing to invest the style that wins hockey games.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's unwilling or unable. I don't really care to have the conversation anymore. It doesn't really matter. They're not doing it.
Man, you are broken.
Yeah, I just What's the point of arguing it either way?
June is going to
Truly.
be brutal for you, big boy. Not because Blues aren't in the playoffs, but because the Cardinals are doing the same thing.
I find it to be very different. This was expectations. Yeah. It's way worse when you have expectations. Yeah. I don't expect anything out of the Cardinals this year. Now, they're going to need guys to take a jump, and they're going to need at least some of them to just sustain. Like Burleson, just repeat what you did last year. If you can do that, we're good, man. Like, that's what we need you to be. Be a really good number 5 hole hitter for a contender. If you can be that, great. If Ivan Herrera is just what he was last year offensively and adds a little value defensively, great. I'm good with that. But it's not a team thing. Like, this is not I'm evaluating the team, and if they don't win 85 games and it's a failure. No, let's be real. We know what's going on there.
What sucks with this is a core thing. And T-Bone and I,
this team was supposed to be good.
This team was supposed to be good, or at least it was supposed to be competing for a playoff spot. You were still somewhat to where you were like, I don't know what it's going to look like, but you should be a team that's in a wild card conversation.
Exactly.
San Jose and Utah has just stepped over your cold, dead body and then kicked some dirt on you.
By the way, a year which I would say, now maybe you would disagree with this, I would say that the NHL is down in the middle tier of the NHL. Like the Sharks and Utah, you mentioned their hockey teams. They're good. I mean, we talked about Celebrini. Celebrini is really the only reason the Sharks are a playoff team. I wouldn't say that this is like there are Utah's 8 elite teams in the NHL in the Western Conference. There's like 3. No, and everything else was open for you in the wild
Friedman
card.
had a funny report yesterday on NHL Network where he said about 90% of teams in the Western Conference just aren't, or no, he said there are some teams in the Western Conference that are unsure about if they're buyers or sellers because they look at Colorado and say, ooh, this is going to be tough. And somebody quote tweeted and said, so 95% of the Western Conference should go, yeah, we're just going to sell. There's no point in this right now. So the core being the problem is the part that is the hardest part. And that, what I have to imagine, is why Doug Armstrong is embarrassed, because his legacy, although I think it's going to be remembered by the sustained winning 10 years of being a playoff contender, the cup that he won, it's going to be tampered with when you think of the core that's in place that he banked on carrying them into a new era.
T-Bone, by the way, is 100% right about the West. It's down. It's really down. Totally. I mean, Anaheim is in 3rd in the Pacific. They have a negative goal differential.
There's 2 teams in the Western Conference that I look at and say, yeah, they could win the Stanley Cup. It's Minnesota and Colorado. Everyone else, I think, is the same conversation as what you should have been.
I would say the top 3 in the division are good. Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas. Can they win the Cup? Maybe not. That's
Dallas
totally
is the
fair.
one that I'm a little worried about.
I think they're good, though. They're good hockey teams, and in any given season, they'd be legit playoff contenders. I would say Vegas and Edmonton are good. They're legit playoff contenders in most seasons. Utah feels very similar to a lot of wild card teams in most seasons. Are they great? No. They could miss out. They could get in. They're kind of that fringe wild card team. There are 2 spots in the Western Conference right now that are playoff spots. They have no semblance of what a playoff team normally looks like for this conference. Anaheim and San Jose. Now, kudos to them. They've done what's necessary. Yep. That's all that's asked of you. You don't have to be great to get into the postseason. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they weren't great this season.
That's been going on for 5 years.
There's a spot available. We'll go ahead and take it. All you need us to do is go 10-7, 9-8. Let's do it, boys. We can maintain that every year. That's effectively what Anaheim and San Jose are. They are the Carolina Panthers and the Pittsburgh Steelers of the Western Conference. Yeah. And they're going to get in, and they're young teams. I'll be excited to see them. I think it's great for those fan bases to get a taste of this with that young core that's in place right now. The Blues were supposed to have one of those 2 spots, and they have been so horrible this season that they can't even reach that level of mediocrity. Yeah. That's all you had to do this year was strive for mediocrity, and you get into the playoffs. And instead, to use Doug Armstrong's words, they've been embarrassing. And now you find yourself at home with half of your roster out against the defending champs, and we've all reached a level of acceptance where we're just wondering, when are the moves going to start of selling off of this roster instead of when's the run going to begin that allows them to add to this roster.
How frustrated I was and have been with the Cardinals, how they just continue to bring back the same roster and make us believe that it's going to get better. I'm that territory with the Blues if they don't make changes before next year. If you come back with the same group, man, how can you sit here and act as if things are going to get better?
He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. 314-399-9646. That's the Your Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. It's 11:19. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. We've got the Graveyard Chat off and running today. We've got Bill, IROC, Nearby Gnome. I'm guessing that is a T-Bone reference there. D. Miller, Bobby, Mac, all over in the YouTube chat right now. You can join them at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. Coming up next, the Cardinals are receiving some rave reviews for what they have right now in their farm system and a small update on the Brendan Donovan sweepstakes. We'll get to it all next year on 101 ESPN. Hey, alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. The Cardinals farm system getting some rave reviews across the industry right now. ESPN's Kylie McDaniel, The Athletics' Keith Law, everybody's favorite here in St. Louis. Hey, by the way, he's going to join us coming up at the 1 o'clock hour.
Oh, good. I bet everybody's excited.
Both put out their not top 100 prospect rankings. No. We've advanced beyond that, Alex.
Oh.
It's list season in Major League Baseball as we get closer and closer to the start of spring training. They put out their rankings of each individual team's farm systems. For Keith Law, his number one farm system in Major League Baseball is?
Dodgers.
Nope, they're 2.
Milwaukee.
That was close.
They are number 1, the Milwaukee Brewers. At number 3, Seattle. That's a team that I would love
We'll
to get
drop
some
them
of.
down to 5 or 6 in a couple of weeks. Am I right, guys?
I like the way Keith Law does it because it's a tier system. Tier 1 was those 3 teams: Milwaukee, the Dodgers, and the Mariners. Tier 2 included another NL Central team with the Pittsburgh Pirates, also the Guardians and the Washington Nationals. Side note, the Cardinals stole some of their minor league people. They hired some of their minor league people from the Mariner system and the Guardian system. I don't think that was by mistake, considering where those 2 teams rank. All right, back to the tier rankings. Tier 3 is the Tigers, White Sox, Orioles, Red Sox, and yes, yours truly, the St. Louis Cardinals. He goes on to basically say it's been a very good year for their system. They've had a lot of players improve from within their system, and they've added to their system via a lot of these trades that they've made. We'll talk more about that with Keith Law in about an hour and a half. Kylie McDaniel, who I also think does fantastic work, he does it over at ESPN.com. He did his based on a traditional ranking system, 1 to 30 across Major League Baseball. Number 1 for Kylie McDaniel is, Alex?
Brewers.
The Milwaukee Brewers. The same
Dodgers again, and I thought he would get upset about it.
Number 2, the Guardians. Number 3, the Pirates. Number 4, your Dodgers.
Whoa. Not my Dodgers.
Come on, man. You should root for them.
I
They're
might
pretty good.
actually. At least I'll
At
root for a
number
winning team.
9, the St. Louis Cardinals.
Hey-o.
Now, I think Kylie McDaniel's write-up is worth reading here on the show. He said the following: I'm fascinated by the top 4 of the Cardinals system. Weatherholtz might be the highest floor prospect in my entire top 100. He also has all-star upside. Rainiel Rodriguez, the Cardinals' young catching prospect, is the rare prospect with the upside to be an above average or better defensive catcher and hit 25 to 30 home runs annually. Liam Doyle could impact the big league team as a starter or a reliever as soon as this season, and it already seems as though he's going to be a fan favorite. And then there's Joshua Baez, who had one of the biggest turnarounds in the entire minor league system. He has always had all-star level raw tools, and his production is now starting to match. If he can hit 250, Baez might also add another 25 to 30 homers in the big leagues, and this is a guy who stole 55 bases in the minors this season. Alex, this is the kind of thing that I've been waiting to see from the Cardinal system really since 2020, when they had like Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, Victor Scott. I'm missing one. Burley was one of the other guys at the time. And maybe Ivan Herrera, I think, was the other player that was kind of coming through the system and starting to get some notoriety at that time. That wave of players that was coming to the Major League system. Now, that wave didn't exactly produce at the same level that we were all hoping for, but it had star-level potential.
Oh, Carlson was the other one, probably.
He was prior to. He was the previous wave. But yeah, this wave of players, Alex, if you can get 1 or 2 stars, I'm not even saying superstar, like top 10 player in the league, but stars out of this group, man, that's what this team has been lacking. I don't think the Cardinal system is quite as bad as what they've suggested. I think they're still pretty good and have been pretty good at producing solid contributors at the major league level. They have lacked the ability to produce a star position player, and their pitching pipeline has been abysmal for close to a decade now. But the position player side of things, man, it's still been a conveyor belt of utility players, which doesn't sound like much, but it matters. You need those guys to continue to thrive at the major league level. What's been your takeaway to see some of the third-party publications and how they seem to view, as neutral observers, the Cardinals farm system right now?
That it's rising, that they're fixing the issues. And you're right, they haven't been as bad as people make it out to be. They've been bad on the pitching side, though. Like, you haven't had anything to get excited about with pitching other than 4s and 5s, and typically they're guys that pitch to contact. So now it seems like maybe you're starting to trend in the direction of swing and miss, guys that have a little bit more upside. The position players, though, like the 3 guys you mentioned, and I'll hone in because we've talked a ton about Weatherholt. I'll hone in on Rodriguez and Joshua Baez. That's what you have lacked in terms of consistency. And you won't know this until you get a few years into their major league career. But we've seen in the past of guys in the minor league system for the Cardinals, it's like, oh, man, this guy's got some power that he can hit. What's it look like at the major league level, right? Nolan Gorman's been one. Tyler O'Neill was one when they acquired him through the minor leagues. It was just bombs after bombs and could do it, but it just wasn't consistent. If you find two of those guys that you're talking about, BK, of stars, like consistently, not all stars, or I'm sorry, not superstars, but stars, that's more than a win. You've expedited this rebuild, or build, as Bill DeWitt would tell you, faster than what it was supposed to be. Because to get 2 stars in your system, and now you're looking for one more. And now I actually trust an organization to make some type of move to maybe trade for a younger guy that could become one. If you get one, I think that's good. But if you only get one out of it, I think you're still in a position to where you're going to be searching for that next one. But my 10,000-foot view from all of this perspective is, yeah, they're building something now. Because in the past, anytime somebody has brought up their minor league system, it's been like, yeah, they've got guys that are utility pieces. They're not going to do anything that wins you a World Series unless you've got the stars, and they've struggled to find those.
Yeah, and every time I see these rankings, the team one surprised me for where they were at because Kylie had them top 10. Keith Law had them basically right at the top 10 there at 11. That surprised me based on how much the Cardinals have talked about how down the system was. Now, I think when they say that, now in hindsight, we can look at it and go, boy, man, that pitching pipeline really must have been the driving force as to why you feel that this is bad, which makes sense. Now, some of their top prospects there are starting to graduate or get close to graduating as they're getting to that AAA level. But when I see this, I like the fact that there's kind of the balance within the tools when you look at this, right? But the problem is I don't know if this all works out if they don't get Weatherholt to hit. Like you mentioned that previous wave for the Cardinals, right? Jordan Walker was the one that had to become the star/superstar if all these other pieces were going to work out and fit into the role where they should, right? Because we all agree, Wynn has worked out, Herrera has worked out, Burleson has worked out. Those were part of that core that was coming up. But the reason we're not feeling that effect and you're seeing the Cardinals not have success because of it is because the top guy didn't work out.
I would say Gorman I would throw into that category as well. They needed at least one of those two to work out.
Fair.
Because if Gorman hits 35 home runs annually, we're looking at this very different right now.
Yeah.
And you might be able to just say, hey, they've got Contreras still here at the time. And we can go add one superstar. Like, they could go sign Kyle Tucker this offseason, and we'd be looking at them. We're like, oh, yeah, that sounds about right. Because Kyle Tucker would effectively be what Jordan Walker was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I see these rankings that come out and see all the write-ups with, like, J.J. Weatherholt, for example, Weatherholt's the one that it feels like is playing into that top-tier role of whether it's Walker/Gorman, and then the hope is that you have Rodriguez and Baez become guys that become more of those supplementary pieces, and maybe they surprise you, and like Baez, for example, does end up reaching this power element that people are talking about and ends up becoming the 30-homer guy, maybe 30 steals guy, and he can kind of shift up into that, but it all feels like it all hinges on J.J. Weatherholt because I like the balance and tools that you're seeing, right? Weatherholt is the hit tool, and then you've got the power tool with Rodriguez and Baez, so that's what you want. You want to try and find that balance within the system, but the problem is you need probably that top-tier guy to end up reaching that level that we think. Otherwise, you just fall back into where you were as the Cardinals organization.
Hey, Alex, want to play a game?
Would you like to play a game?
I don't like BK games.
I hate BK games.
In the last 15 years, come on, man. There are 6 catchers that have played at least 50% of their games behind the plate and had 25 home runs in multiple seasons. How many can you name?
Cal Raleigh.
That's one. Well done, sir.
How many seasons did you say? Last 6?
Last 15 years, they had multiple 25-plus home run seasons. Salvador Perez is 2. He's done it 5 times.
Will Smith.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
No, he's done it once.
Wow.
I'm surprised by that.
I think it might be the 50% of his
JT Real Muto.
plate.
He's not done it.
No.
Done it once.
Man.
How many X's do I get before I have to pass it over to the other team, like Family Feud? I have 2
3.
now. Okay, so 1 more. And how many more do I got to name?
4.
Jesus.
I think T-Bone can get one of the others.
Shane Langoliers,
Yep,
has he done
that's
it?
3. I think it might be tough to get the other 3.
Give me the team.
Give them to you?
Well, give him the team.
Well, they got multiple catchers.
No, that's a terrible.
Just give me the names.
Is Alejandro Kirk on here?
That's who I was wondering. You wasted my X, man.
One of them did it for the Mariners and Rays.
Right.
I have no idea.
One of them did it for the Yankees. He's not a good defensive catcher. Buddy, you hit the ball hard.
Yeah, I know who this is. Oh, my God. Sanchez, Gary Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez is the fourth. Mike Zunino.
See, the name worked.
And Yasmani Grandal.
Oh, Mike Zunino's a blast from the past.
Yep.
Yeah.
So a couple of really bad defensive catchers on that list. But the reason I bring it up is because that is the kind of, A, Herrera could add his name to that list. B, if Raniel Rodriguez legitimately has that kind of upside as a hitter, the value of having that behind the plate cannot go overstated. It is a huge advantage in Major League Baseball to be able to produce that kind of power as a catcher. Because now it allows for you to continue to use your first base and DH spots as plus offensive contributors, and you get this behind the plate. So this would be a huge boost for their offense. If one of those two, just one of them, either Herrera or Raniel Rodriguez, can hit like this and produce behind the plate. So that's one guy I would hone in on. And then Joshua Baez is somebody worth monitoring this season. His minor league numbers last year were ridiculous. It was finally a year in which he cashed in all of the tools and looked the part of the player that they expected him to be as a former, I think, second-round selection for them. 50-plus stolen bases, 20-plus home runs, that kind of power, that kind of speed. Sounds very Tyler O'Neill-y to me. Yeah. In the good way.
Oh, yeah.
In the good way.
You can't say Tyler O'Neill and then say a good way. There's no good way with Tyler O'Neill.
There was. He had a borderline MVP caliber season.
Cool. And you know what that did? That got everybody all horned up for a superstar. And then what happened?
Hey, to be fair, good for Tyler O'Neill. It's the main reason he's been in the big
No,
leagues.
he didn't get hurt. Come on.
His knees were
That's
hurting.
the excuse that he got hurt. We all know what really took place.
Where was it? Tampa Bay couldn't play because of the turf.
Bad on your knees. It's true. All right, you guys ready for your slight update on the Brendan Donovan sweepstakes?
The update that's probably not really an update.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, no, what?
Mark Feinsand of MLB.com does really great work. And at this point of the year, they're basically saying, hey, Mark, can you give us something? He's like, I've got nothing, but sure, here's what I got.
Here you go.
He listed the 8 teams that could still have big moves to make. And when he says big, Jordan Montgomery, maybe he signs with the Athletics. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about here. So the Athletics are interested in pitching. The Braves are interested in pitching. The Brewers are interested in pitching. And the Baltimore Orioles interested in pitching as well. And then the Phillies, maybe they add something. The real update here for Cardinals fans, hey, the Giants still need a middle infielder. Brendan Donovan, Nico Horner makes sense. The Mariners still need a middle infielder. Hey, you know who would make a lot of sense? Brendan Donovan. The Red Sox, they could still really use a third baseman. You know who makes sense? Isaac Paredes or Brendan Donovan. The teams are all the same. It's the Red Sox, it's the Mariners, it's the Giants. That's who's going to be in contention most likely for Brendan Donovan, and it's just a matter of them matching the asking price for Heimblum. I don't know if they're going to do it. Brendan Donovan was not listed among the top 100 players, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah,
in Major League Baseball?
Well, I know Mason Wynn wasn't.
So if
Still need that cactus lime.
If teams don't view him that way and Heimblum is asking for that kind of a return, maybe he is back next year. I think that would be a mistake. But that's your latest update. It's the same teams that could be interested, and we're going to keep doing this song and dance until we get closer to spring training.
Say it again that I said on Monday when you weren't here. I'd start considering asking if we can get something for Brendan Donovan, maybe one of the 2 top prospects that I'm asking for. I'm not coming back with Brendan Donovan.
I agree.
If they're asking for Laz Montez and the second best pitcher in the organization for Seattle, I'm sorry. I love Brendan Donovan as a player. Brendan Donovan's not that player that you can warrant that return for. Call him back. I'm getting emotional about this, man. I don't want to lose.
Are you sure you want to let him go? I'm not sure you want to let him go.
I put oats in my yogurt this morning, and it's stuck in my throat right now.
Oh.
That's why T-Bone doesn't do that.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't do yogurt or oats. That's why I would be give me Laz Montez instead, or give me the pitcher. Just give me one, because Brendan Donovan's not going to bring you back that much. And when you bring him back, you know what he's not going to bring you next year when you try and trade him? A top 100 prospect.
That's my thing. If you're going to extend Brendan Donovan, I could listen to the argument for it. I really could. I can understand why you would feel that's the best path forward. If you're going to trade Brendan Donovan, that makes a lot of sense to me as well. You're cashing in on your top trade asset this offseason at the time when he's going to have the most value possible. Keeping Brendan Donovan and not extending him is the exact kind of thing that the old guard would have done. It's the exact thing that would have happened. It just does not make a lot of sense to me. I don't understand it. And so I would love to get the explanation for it. Maybe they're getting nothing in return from some of these other teams. I doubt it.
I doubt that.
But it's really puzzling to me, Alex. I don't understand the thought process here. Unless they're just trying to wait, and they think that other teams are going to get desperate as we get closer to the start of spring training, which may happen. But that's probably going to serve as some sort of a deadline for a lot of these teams. All right, in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. NFL Quick Hitters next year on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues back in action tonight as they host the Florida Panthers. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Carver and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, it's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. In about 10 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. Joey Vitale joins us coming up in the 12 o'clock hour. Alex, let's start out with this. We didn't really talk too much about this yesterday. The Browns have hired Todd Monken as their new head coach. We talked a lot about the Bill Belichick news, not making it into the Hall of Fame. Did you have a reaction to the Todd Monken hire? Apparently, there was more reporting that took place yesterday. The GM and the search committee both recommended to the ownership group that they hire Nathan Scheelhaus, the Rams passing game coordinator. And then the owner said, nah, I like this Monken cat.
And thus is the Cleveland Browns. Nobody can agree on something. They all have differing opinions. I mean, look, I've been told a lot that Todd Monken is a really smart offensive mind. And what's the problem with Cleveland? Well, your answer would be everything, but mainly they have no offense. I don't think this is a hire that makes the Cleveland Browns good again next year. Now, I think some of their problems is roster related. Obviously, you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a running game, and although Judkins was pretty good last year, and you don't have any weapons. And your defense hasn't been great with the exception of Myles Garrett. So honestly, my reaction was fine, but this is going to fail just like every other coaching job has failed you. And I don't think Todd Monken is going to be a great head coach, but I think the bigger issue is what you just said. One side of the Cleveland Browns think this is a good hire. The other side thinks this is a good hire. All the while, your defensive coordinator's pissed he didn't get the job and is going to leave.
T-Bone, remember a few years ago when the Houston Texans hired David Culley as their head coach, and we're like,
I remember, wasn't it like only a year-long experiment or 2 years?
Mm-hmm. They hired him for one season.
Didn't they hire Lovie Smith?
Next year, they hired Lovie Smith. And then finally, they got through their rebuild, and they hired DeMeco Ryans once they were ready to actually, start to push again. I think that's what's happening here. I think the Browns knew, listen, if we hire Nathan Scheelhaus, he's going to have the stink of whatever the next couple of years are on his resume. There's no reason for us to pay more to hire this young, up-and-coming coach candidate to then have him, by the time we're trying to win again, already have on his resume 2 seasons of winning 4 games. So let's pay a little less to have this guy, Todd Monken, who's nearly 60 years old, who's done a pretty good job with a lot of the offenses that he's been a part of in the past. Let's just have him come in. Maybe he'll have some good ideas. Seems interesting. See if anything clicks. Probably won't. We'll fire him in a couple of seasons, and then we'll actually hire the coach that we want to have. Now, maybe giving them too much credit here. It's the Cleveland Browns.
But they can't even decide on what the coach is the best decision.
The Texans were a disaster for a couple of years as well, and now they appear to be a pretty well-run organization again. I could see something similar for the Browns.
Yeah.
Not the well-run organization thing, but we're going to start this over again in 2 years.
I get the path you're talking about because, Monken, odds are he's not going to be there when they're winning again as they enter this rebuild. I think it's giving him too much credit because, as we already seen based on the reporting, there's internal fighting as to what was going to happen with the head coaching decision. That's not a functional organization that is thinking, hey, we'll just hire this guy for 2 years and then go out and hire the next hotshot candidate. I find it as just a blah hire from the Cleveland perspective. You're right. He probably is fired in 2 years. He's probably just the scapegoat until they get to when they're ready to win again. I would rather hire the young hotshot coordinator now and let him develop with the team as you start to build this thing up rather than just go with a 60-year-old offensive mind.
T-Bone, are you paying attention to the Senior Bowl practices and how the Illinois guys are doing?
Well, I saw one of them got worked yesterday, and I went, boy, that was the story of the Illinois season. Some Mizzou guy.
Also, the
Zion
SEC
Young.
Stronger than Big Ten, I would imagine.
Zion Young is apparently dominating. The former Mizzou defensive end. He's down at the Senior Bowl, for those unfamiliar. It's the biggest all-star event for former college players who are eligible this year for the NFL Draft. senior eligible players for the draft are able to go down there and spend a week talking to scouts, showing off their performances on the field. It's the last actual football that they will play for any of these scouts where they've got football helmets and pads and everything on. And so you actually get to analyze what offensive and defensive linemen are able to do against one another. And boy, has Zion Young been putting on a show, according to all reports. I really think this guy's going to be a first-round pick. I think we're going to get to April, and people are going to be like, hold on, he's 6'5", he's 265 pounds.
Good God.
He's physical as hell. He's got all of the intangibles that we're looking for. Long arms, powerful, and this is not a very good draft class. What are we doing? Why are we overthinking this? Just take the guy that was productive in the SEC that does everything we're looking for here. A team like the Baltimore Ravens probably trades down, takes him, and they're like, yeah, cool, we've got a 6 to 8 sack per year guy for the next decade as a part of our roster. They're the exact kind of team that I can see doing something like this.
Where did Nick Bolton get drafted?
Late second-round pick by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because that was the first one that I kind of thought of, to where I don't think there was a lot of expectations for him in that draft, or maybe there was, if I don't remember correctly.
He was considered kind of a second-round guy.
I was going to say, because I thought he had a pretty successful Senior Bowl as well, but...
The Eagles, 23 overall. Perfect team.
No.
Just
no.
sit there. Here you go. Zion
on
Young.
it.
Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
Boom.
Boom.
The LA Rams, 29 overall. Just add them into the mix.
No, we don't want him on
They
that
could
team.
use a pass rusher.
The New England Patriots, the Seattle these well-run, the Denver Broncos, honestly, these well-run organizations that just sit there. Hell, Houston, just throw one more. We don't need more. Add more. Always add another. These are the kinds of teams that I could see saying, all right, let's go ahead and get this pass rusher from the University of Missouri and add him to the mix.
The Buffalo Bills will probably take a wide receiver that their general manager wants and then says, it wasn't my decision, it was the coach's decision.
And
why
then
don't we
hire
draft
that
him?
coach as the head coach.
and then the owner will blame the coach when the guy's not good, but he'll be under contract. They seem like a well-run group.
By the way, somebody on the text line, before we get to questions and answers on the other side, you can send those in on the Air Comfort Service text line at 314-399-9646. From the 314. Did you guys see the clip of Sam Acho talking about Shedeur Sanders and Todd Monken? Did you guys see this on Twitter?
I didn't.
No. Probably glad I didn't, but
Yeah, I was going to say, does this go pretty haywire?
it's just one of those hot takes.
I don't even know.
He said, if you're Shedeur Sanders, why would you listen to anything that Todd Monken has to say? What has he ever accomplished? And I just thought,
How long was Acho in the league?
like a few years.
That
Do you
might
think he
make sense
knows
now.
who Todd Monken was in charge of?
Even if he did,
No,
he's your
even if
head
he
coach.
even if he didn't, he probably shouldn't be an analyst for the NFL if he didn't.
What are we doing, man?
Yeah.
I guess, hey, man, he's a Pro Bowler.
Honestly, fair though.
Shedeur Sanders, Pro Bowl quarterback.
Shedeur does his own thing. I don't think he's really going to be listening to anybody other than himself.
Shedeur just needs to figure out how to be an NFL-capable quarterback. All this stuff that's surrounding him, it's not helping, guys.
No.
This is the Tim Tebow effect, but for Shedeur Sanders. Maybe Shedeur will eventually be a good quarterback. He was awful last year, regardless of his supporting cast.
That's a Pro
And that's
Bowler.
not hating on him. That is just saying he was really, really bad. He needs to be better. And if he's better, he's going to get the accolades that everybody's looking for. Hell, he's getting them right now without being any good. Coming up in 15 minutes, what can we learn from this year's MLB Network list on the top 10 starting pitchers across Major League Baseball? Could give us a lesson or two for the St. Louis Cardinals to follow. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. Questions and answers next year on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and get them in right now on the Air Comfort Service text line. From the Cottleville Comb Over, who do you see as the Cardinals' opening day starting rotation, and who do you think is the closer at the start of the year? Love the show.
Thank you. I love the show too, man.
I would say my closer on opening day. We'll start out with that because it's just the one answer instead of five.
Would you go JoJo? Because I'd say Swanson.
Yeah, I would probably go Swanson as well.
I'd go O'Brien. I think that's what they would lean towards.
I think
It'd be one of those two. I don't know if it's JoJo. I think he's more specialist.
I think those two and JoJo are your setup men and closer, like combined.
Those three are the guys that I think you'll see most of the time in the 8th and 9th inning.
Yeah.
Regardless of the order of them, depending on, I think it'll be matchup related. Like if you have some big lefties coming up, like if you're going against the Phillies, I could see JoJo coming in the 9th inning. Whenever those big boppers are coming up that are left-handed, you'll see JoJo.
Yeah.
And if they're not coming up, you'll see one of O'Brien or Swanson. So I think that'll be the way that they play it. As for the starting rotation on opening day, Dustin May will be in it. Matthew Liberatore will be in it. Andre Palante will be in it. I think Michael McGreevy will be in it. And then it comes down to a competition between Kyle Leahy, who's probably the leader in the clubhouse, Richard Fitz, Hunter Dobbins. I think those three.
Yeah, mine would be right now, May, Libby, McGreevy. I think you can lock those three in, and then it's a fight for 2 or 3 spots. If they may start the year with a 6-man rotation. That's kind of my expectation. Between Leahy, Fitz, Palante, and Dobbins, I would lean right now the 2 favorites, if you were only doing 5, would be Leahy and Fitz. I think Palante would be either a bullpen or a swing arm / maybe even minor leagues. He's got options left if they wanted to.
From the 573, are you guys planning on watching any of the Winter Olympic sports other than hockey?
Oh, yeah. The Winter Olympics are by far my favorite over the Summer Olympics.
I love swimming.
You got curling.
In the summer.
I was saying, there's no swimming in the Winter Olympics.
Cold.
You've got curling. You've got, I for some reason love watching snowboarding. It's a weird thing that I just for some reason really enjoy. The skiing, the luge stuff. Oh, yeah.
Oh, you like the luge?
Oh, I love the luge. Watching those guys run and stay on their feet and then jump on. Now, I'm not big into the figure skating. That's the part that I just, for some reason, I've never really been able to grasp onto. But all of the other events, oh, yeah.
I like watching it because there's nothing else on. If I'm just being totally candid.
You're not wrong.
Like, there's just not a whole lot else to watch. I will watch college basketball around that time, but there's no football. The NBA isn't relevant for our job here locally most of the time, so I just don't really spend a whole lot of time watching it nowadays. I used to love it. It was probably my second favorite sport growing up.
When the NBA was good, though, am I right?
Yeah, they played defense back then.
So
it's a dumb comment. You don't watch NBA if you say stuff like that.
That's my honest answer. But yes, I do like it. I otherwise would just completely eliminate it. All right. From the 314, we've heard about the Schilt and BK beef. We've heard about the BK and Carricker beef. Are there any other St. Louis sports media beefs that we should be aware of? I don't think any for me. Not that I'm aware of, at least.
I don't have any beef with media members that they know about. I may strongly dislike other media members, but I'm cordial. I keep it internal. I don't hold grudges.
I can't think of any that.
I don't think T-Bone's got grudges either.
Well, no, I don't really have any grudges against any St. Louis media. I don't think. Yeah. Maybe one.
Nothing to the effect of like the Schilt and the Carricker one, to where it's like people know. What do you mean?
The way you said the Carricker one was like,
one's pretty evident,
you're
man.
acting as though me and Randy hate each other. Me and Randy have done shows together before in the past.
Yeah, I don't think it's cordial. Really beef. I think
it's beef. He called him unathletic, and he doesn't follow him on social media.
Yeah, that's both.
I mean, just because it's true statements doesn't mean it's beef.
Yeah. Why can't it be beef, man?
I think you're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Why not make things beefy?
I don't know that Randy likes me.
You're not going to worry about it anymore. He's not in the building.
Yeah. I don't know that he actively dislikes me, though. I think we just view sports from completely different angles, and that's okay. There should be differing viewpoints in this, whatever this is that we do. If there wasn't, then, man, the entire premise of what we were doing wouldn't exist.
Someone asked if they could get a Ferrario 5 on my side beefs. No, sorry, I keep those beefs internal. I internally hold my anger.
Somebody said T-Bone and Jackson have beef. They're
That's
supposed
right.
to settle it on the court.
Yeah, Jackson.
I actually really like Jackson, so then no beef there.
He doesn't like you.
I just like talking trash with a lot of people, and he would fit into that
I
category.
feel like I'm that South Park episode where Stan and Kyle are trying to get Tweak to fight Clyde, and none of them really want to fight each other, but I'm the one that's like, man, he called you a jerk, and I don't know, you're just going to stand there and take that?
All right, coming up in 15 minutes, Joey Vitale joins us here on the show.
He's got beef probably, right?
I don't think anybody
You don't think Joey ever
dislikes
has-
beef, and I don't think Joey dislikes anybody.
Yeah, I don't think Joey.
Did I say anybody?
You said
I don't think
dislikes
anybody
beef.
dislikes
you don't
Joey.
like beef. You're vegan. You don't like beef.
I'm not vegan. I'm also not vegetarian any
bi-curious.
longer. That's why I said. That's why I said I had to go back to Victory Men's Health. I got to go back to Victory Men's Health, and they helped me out with my micronutrient levels because I'm no longer vegetarian.
They walked in and you were like, I'm not vegetarian. And
I'd say
they're
I'm
like,
more on a
finally.
Mediterranean diet at this point, Alex. I'm eating a lot of fish nowadays.
So your meadow diet is what you're?
Mediterranean. All right, coming up next, what can we learn from the Cardinals pitching development based upon Major League Baseball Network's top 10 pitchers across Major League Baseball right now? We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. MLB Network is continuing their Top 10 Right Now series. We used to really follow these, Alex, because the Cardinals had a lot of players that would show up on these lists.
Womp, womp, womp.
It's no longer the case. Brendan Donovan was among the top 5 second basemen in Major League Baseball. My guess is we'll see Mason win at some point.
Still going to keep trying for that, huh?
I think so.
Man, you just want to keep losing those Cactus Lime monies.
Do you think there will be any other Cardinals that show up? Maybe Herrera?
I think Herrera's probably the other one.
I don't know where they're going to put if they put
would
a
assume
DH.
catcher.
Oh, I don't know if they will. He didn't play much catcher. That's why I don't think he'll be put there.
I don't know.
If he's DH, I don't know if he'll be there. I could see Burley getting put there. Maybe.
I don't think Burley. If Wynn's not getting there, I don't think Burley's getting there.
Moral of the story, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of representatives any longer.
I miss the good old days.
Yeah.
And you may be surprised to hear it, Alex. They did not have a starting pitcher ranked among the top 10 right now. Yep,
Not
it's
even
true.
Dustin May?
Nope, Dustin May did not reach the top 10 list.
Man.
However, I do find this list to be pretty interesting. I wanted to look into it to see, because the Cardinals have, for a really long time, been lacking that true number one starter. We talked about it when they were really good. We're talking about it now when they're really bad. How do they get this guy? Where do you find him? What's the plan to acquire a legitimate front of the rotation starter? Because these teams that are winning in the postseason, they've all got them. They've all got these number one dudes that you could throw out there. You're expecting 6 innings and like 9 strikeouts in a playoff start. And the Cardinals haven't had that guy in a really long time, basically since prime Waino. So I went through these top 10 players, top 10 starting pitchers in Major League Baseball, according to MLB Network. And I looked up where they were selected or how they were originally acquired by their team. And then on their final prospect list, prior to graduating from the list, where did they rank among all Major League Baseball prospects according to Baseball America, who I personally think does the best job with this stuff? So here are the top 10 and how they were found and where they ranked on the prospect lists. Tarek Skubal, number 1. 9th round selection. 20th overall prospect by the time that he got to the big leagues, though. So
in all of baseball.
20th overall prospect.
Wow.
Paul Skeens, number 1 selection. Number 9 prospect.
And who are the 8 in front of him?
Yeah, he rose through the ranks so quickly
that
he just didn't have enough time to be able to continue. He would have been the number 1 prospect in baseball the next year.
He's like Juan Soto, where he wasn't there long enough to really get to that spot.
Come on, man.
And Baseball America was lower on him in their ranking list than others. He was a top 5 prospect across other.
If I was one of those prospects ahead of him, that would be what I'd live most of my life off of. I was 4.
Hang the banner.
I was 4 prospects above Paul Skeens.
Number 3, Zach Wheeler. Number 6 overall pick, number 11 overall prospect. Number 4, Chris Sale. He was the number 13 overall selection and number 20 prospect in Major League Baseball. Number 5 was Christopher Sanchez. I was surprised to see him this high on the list. Seemed a little high to me, but whatever. Amateur free agent via the Dominican Republic. Was not ranked as a prospect. So this is our biggest outlier so far. Didn't really have prospect status and then rose through the ranks and just continued to develop at the major league level. Came in as a reliever, eventually became a very good starting pitcher for the Phillies. Get to Garrett Crochet at number 6. He was the number 11 overall selection, Alex, and the number 75 prospect. So again, a little bit of an outlier here, but still a top 12 pick. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, just the highest paid international free agent.
The Dodgers.
Was not a prospect.
Money. That's how they got him.
Hunter Brown is at number 8. He was a 5th round selection, but eventually number 28 overall prospect. Max Fried was the number 7 pick in the draft, but number 72 prospect. And then Hunter Green was the number 2 overall selection, and kind of like Paul Skeens, he rose through the ranks so quickly, didn't take long enough to get through the system, was the number 35 overall prospect. Alex, I don't know what your takeaway is from this, but when I looked at this list, saw where these pitchers are coming from, saw what their prospect status was, and I know this may not sound like a grand takeaway, but I think it's relevant to this Cardinals team. Man, these dudes were born to be frontline starting pitchers.
Yeah.
It's not surprising that the number 1 overall pick in Paul Skeens became a frontline starter. It's not surprising that Zach Wheeler, the number 6 pick, number 11 prospect, became what he is. Now, it took longer maybe than some would have expected, but he always had that in there. I feel like we a lot of the time will say, well, he's the next Zach Wheeler. Well, was he selected in the top 10 and was he a legit blue chip prospect beforehand? Because if not, I don't know that he's got that Zach Wheeler in him. Chris Sale, number 13 pick. Yeah, like that weird, funky delivery. If not for that, probably would have been a top 5 selection. Garrett Crochet, top 12 pick. Max Fried, top 10 pick. Hunter Green, number 2 overall pick. Okay, yeah, the Cardinals need to continue to be bad to get these kinds of selections, to add these incredible talents to their farm systems. These pitchers are basically, for their respective teams, what we're seeing from the Cardinals from last year's top 5 overall selection in Liam Doyle. Liam Doyle is the kind of guy that becomes a Chris Sale, a Hunter Brown, a Hunter Green, Max Fried, etc.
Well, so
that's what they've been lacking.
That was the question that I wanted to ask when you're going through this. Does this make you feel better or worse about Liam Doyle? And the only reason I say worse is because since he's been drafted, the conversation has been, yeah, I think he could be a top starter, but he's more likely to be a reliever.
I don't feel that way.
I don't feel that way either. It's just all of the write-ups, whether it was Kylie talking about how he could be a reliever at some point.
It's reliever risk, but all of these guys had that.
Okay.
If they don't work out as a starter, like Chris Sale had real relief risk. It's why he dropped in the draft.
Crochet did too, I believe.
Absolutely. There was no guarantee that they make it as a starter, but if they do, their stuff plays to the level where they could be what they have ultimately become. So do I have concern about Doyle? No. He may fail. It may not work. Alex Reyes was also he could have been Christopher Sanchez. He could have been Garrett Crochet. He could have been Hunter Green. He was that level of prospect. Didn't work. And sometimes a lot of the time that happens. But let me put it this way. Not all top 10 picks that are pitchers become Paul Skeens, Chris Sale, Zach Wheeler. But most of the guys that become Paul Skeens, Chris Sale, Zach Wheeler were top 10 picks.
Yeah, and they've all got big stuff like that, like Liam Doyle has, right? Like when you do read the write-up about Liam Doyle, the concern about being a reliever is the fallback option. Why? Because his stuff is so big, right? Has the flamethrower fastball, has got the good secondary pitch. I look at this and it just kind of reinforces, basically if you get a top 15 pick and you can take a pitcher, typically those guys are the ones that end up reaching this level. Now, there are a couple outliers, whether it be the late round picks or the busts that we've seen in the past. But for the most part, these are the studs that when you watch them pitch at college or at the high school level, you go, man, that is a big arm. And if we can work with that and he stays healthy, which is the most important part, because that's why Ray is flamed out. Mm-hmm. If he can stay healthy, there's a pretty good chance that you probably drafted yourself your next number 1 or number 2 starter.
I'll go back through a couple of years here and we'll get to Joey Vitale on the other side here on 101 ESPN. I've picked up a random draft recently, 2019 MLB draft. And the pitchers that were selected in the top 12 that year were Nick Lodolo, who's been good now, and Alek Manoah, who outside of injury was really, really good before that, right? 2018. Pitchers that were selected in the top 12, Ryan Weathers, Carter Stewart, Grayson Rodriguez, who before injury was really good, Logan Gilbert.
Gilbert.
So, yeah, if you get it right, number 1 stuff. 2017, guy that we just mentioned in Hunter Green is number 2. Number 3 is Mackenzie Gore, who just got an absolute haul in trade. Kyle Wright, who was really good prior to injuries once again. Shane Baz, who again got a haul in a trade despite not really being that great because of injuries. Trevor Rogers, who was really good this past season, I think made the All-Star game. You want a number 1, number 2 starter?
Yeah.
You better be drafting in the top 12. That's your best chance to acquire that kind of talent. Cardinals drafted 1. They may be able to draft another this year, and then maybe even a third the year after.
And you better develop them properly, too. It's the other thing that comes into it.
Absolutely. From the 314, BK, sorry to disprove your theory, but Michaelis was the 204th overall selection, so aces can be found in any round.
Where was
Joey
Dakota
Vitale
Hudson?
joins us next here on 101 ESPN. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Blues back in action this evening against the Florida Panthers. Pre-game starts at 6, puck drop with 7. Joey Vitale will be on the call with Chris Kerber right here in your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. And Joey joins us now via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Joe, appreciate the time as always. How you doing today?
Joey! Joey Vitale!
What's up, boys? Things are good. How are you?
We're doing all right. Who's playing tonight, Joe?
The Panthers.
Okay.
Yeah, them pesky Panthers are here.
Them pesky Panthers. I don't think that's what he was asking, Joe.
Who are we playing tonight?
Who's going to be on the Blues roster tonight?
Oh, I thought you meant who are we playing against? I don't know. That's a great question. Monty, he was kind of funny at the morning press conference. He said, I don't know. And I really believe he does not know. He was not messing around. Where I think there's about 3 guys that are questionable. They have some emergency recalls. There's a lot of different combinations that could be possible here tonight. He even offered to the entire media staff and the broadcasters if they want to go in and check in with them at 5:45 closer to puck drop. He'd have a better idea. But, Neighbors leaves last game. Kyrou left last game. Remember it was Oscar Sundqvist who got tangled up with McDavid on that last road trip. He's been out ever since. But the good news is all 3 of those guys did take good reps this morning. They looked really good. Gosh, if they don't go tonight, I got to imagine they're going to be going here pretty soon.
Joe, how does that work in terms of coaching staff and the long-term plan? Because as a player, if you feel good, you're going to want to be in the lineup. But they've dealt with so many injuries this year. You've got 4 games before the Olympic breaks. As a coach, can you go to the player and say, hey, look, I know you want to get back in there, but it might just be best if you sit out for a couple more games to make sure you're 100%?
Yeah, you could. Definitely. There's situations like that, and I don't know exactly the full details of Robert Thomas's injury. There are certain players in that threshold, Alex, that upper class, if you will, where, if the coach is looking at a situation where, it's better maybe just to give them a full rest in order to get back healthy, certainly you'll take that. You remember Jimmy Snuggerud earlier in the year, he blocked a shot right at the beginning of the year. And it was an injury that continued to nag him and bug him, and to the point where his game was just falling off a little bit. And, they decided as a group that it was best for him to get the in-season surgery. He did, of course, miss a little bit of time. But you see the benefits of that because now ever since he's been back, he's been a shooting machine. So, for different players, different things, I will say, though, this is an old-school coach, with Ray Barilli, too, an old-school trainer. If these guys can play, there is a little bit of that old school in them where if you can play, you can skate. They want them out there, and certainly are hoping for the situation tonight for those 3 guys I just mentioned.
Joey Vitale joining us here on 101 ESPN. Joe, this month, the best plus-minus on the team is Dalibor Dvorsky with a +4 so far in the month of January. What have you seen in his development path over the last, really, especially the last couple of weeks where he's starting to produce some points as well?
Yeah, he's not making any high-risk plays. I think he's learning the game of the NHL. Junior hockey, American Hockey League hockey, you can get away with a lot, right? You can make those moves, cut to the middle. You can make those passes where you're 50-50, think they're going to get through. At the NHL level, those get picked off, they go the other way. I'll give you a perfect example. I think that this is when the growth really caught fire for him. I go back to the Utah Mammoth game. This is a few weeks ago in Utah, where in that second period, he tried cutting to the middle. It was turned over. And then the Schmaltz and Keller line, they bit him once. And then, later in that period, he loses the face-off. He ends up losing Schmaltz there on his responsibility. Schmaltz sets up Dursey on the back door for another mistake. That was a game where you saw a lot of the youthful mistakes still kind of creeping into his game. And when you're playing that very low percentage hockey, maybe you can get away with it in the American League and junior leagues, certainly because you're skilled enough. This league is too good. BK, I know you guys talk football and talk shop a lot on the football side of things. And one of the things that I always admire about a pretty consistent narrative is when running backs go from college football to the NFL, where in college they always say you can beat a guy to the outside. You try to beat him wide or get to the sideline and go. And then, of course, you hear the term a lot in the NFL, we're saying, hey, you're not in college anymore. It's almost impossible to beat a cornerback or a defensive end wide. You just got to bury your shoulder. You got to get as much yards as you can. And I think it's the same for hockey. You know, there's levels of what you can get away with at different levels. And in the NHL, you just can't get away with it anymore. And I think that he's really refined his game, and he's gotten to become a lot smarter. High percentage hockey. You know, if he's 60, 70% sure that there's a player there, maybe he holds on to it. You know, maybe you eat it for a little second. You realize that it's not just that play. You know, it's that play. What does that play do for the next play? How does this play set up the entire shift, right? If you're in the offensive zone, you just got there, you got a turnover, and you want to whip it in front because you think your guys are on the back door. If that puck doesn't get through, BK, you know, it's going out the other way now. So that one decision now has made you defend for 25 seconds in your own defensive zone, where maybe if you're not 100% sure, you hold on to it, right? You protect the puck. Maybe you go low to high. Maybe they go D to D. Maybe you cycle around, and then you start to wear the other team down. And then maybe you get a chance, right? Maybe that chance leads to a little momentum. Maybe that chance leads to the next shift coming out, and then the other D are still stuck out there. Where, you know what I mean? It's just that ripple effect. It's a domino effect of each play has an impact on the game in that kind of ripple effect motion. So I believe what I've seen is he's just adapting to the NHL, where he's just playing higher percentage hockey, and he's become a lot smarter. And when you're smarter in this league, obviously he's got the skill to keep up with the rest.
Joe, another player, and I don't think he's needed the adapting or growth because he's been awesome now for 2 straight years, has been Philip Broberg. But now we're seeing him get power play time. And from your perspective, what has stuck out to you about him being a power play quarterback, and how fast do you think guys adapt to that role if they're not normalized to it?
Yeah, I would say, if anything, Alex, you know, for Broberg and many defensemen, certainly he's got some experience coming into the NHL, but it's a little bit different of a beast. You know, when you're the quarterback back there, I mean, again, you're the guy in the pocket. You're the guy checking down receivers, and you're trying to make sure you get the puck into the right hands. I wouldn't necessarily call Philip Broberg a shooter back there. You know, Justin Falk, to me, he pounds pucks. And we saw that the other night there when he pounded that puck with a 6-on-5 advantage, and ultimately Kyrou ties that game up before they win in the shootout. But, you know, that's Falk's kind of MO, right? I think Broberg's more of a passer. He's really shifty at the blue line. He can kind of get those feet moving, his body language, a lot of false information. You think he's going left, and he ends up going right. So to me, that's kind of his bread and butter. And I think that when you're in that position, you just have to figure out a way to be deceptive at the blue line to make sure the puck gets not only in the right hands at the right time, but you want to make sure you set up that player you're passing to where they have some time and space. You know, Torrey Krug, this is what I really admired about his game, especially when he was with Boston, but even in St. Louis, was his ability to be deceptive on passing. You know, Torrey would walk the blue line to the left. He'd be looking to the left and walking to the left, and you're like, this guy's moving the puck to the left. And out of nowhere, he would throw it behind him to the right. Now, what that does is when you're looking left and you're moving left and your body language is going to deliver left, what happens to the penalty kill? Everyone shifts over to their right, which, of course, is towards left, because this is where he's going to go. So having that false information as a quarterback at the point, it's super important, because if you can pull guys into certain areas and you can have maybe a couple forwards drift over the right and then you can go back to the left, when that puck gets in the hands of, let's call it Dalibor Dvorsky, all of a sudden – the killers are a little bit more spread out. They're a little bit more of a distance, where now Dalibor has an extra split second to make that play. So I think that just comes with reps, and that's just going to come with more experience. But you have to really appreciate the fact that he is getting lots of looks down there. And so far for me, it's been really productive.
All right, Joe, we'll get you out of here on this. I heard the other night on the ESPN broadcast, actually, TJ Oshie mentioned his favorite player that he's seen so far this season is Macklin Celebrini. He said he absolutely loves watching him play. As you've been on the broadcast this year for the Blues, who's been your favorite player to watch that's not currently on the Blues? So of an opposing team, who's been the guy that's captured your eyes the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I admire Macklin Celebrini. I wish we'd seen him more up to this point. We're going to see him a ton here in March. He won a face-off.
Fortunately and unfortunately.
Yeah, he won a face-off the other day where he tied up the centerman's stick and then he used the knob of his blade to move the puck back. I mean, he's doing stuff like that. It's ridiculous. He's really changing the game, and for such a young kid to do it is pretty special. I think this year I will say 2 players, and I never thought I'd say this first one. It would be Connor Bedard. because I really admire what he's done to his game. You know, he came in and obviously undersized kid, heavily skilled, but he came in as a perimeter player. He's taken a huge step this year, and it's great for the game. It's great for the Blackhawks. It's great for the Blues. It intensifies the rivalry. Now Chicago's relevant again. But I watched the way he competes, the way he's back-checking, the way he's defending. Gosh, he's getting to the front of the net. I don't know what happened this past summer, but something has rounded out in his game where, to me, he's a really fun player to watch, and I'm really excited for him. But the other player, I don't think I'm alone here. I think I joined a pretty big class. This Nikita Kucherov is he's just a special hockey player. And I know there's the Kaprizovs, and I mean, yeah, McDavid's on a different class, and the way that Nathan McKinnon just demands so much out of his teammates, those are all there. But Nikita Kucherov, I don't know if it's because he's in Tampa, he's in southern middle Florida there, where he just doesn't get the attention. Maybe the media isn't on top of him as much. But it's just a player that he gets enough attention, but it's still not enough. I mean, he hardly is breaking a sweat out there. You wonder at times, does he even have a pulse when he's playing? He hardly ever takes too hard strides. He's just floating. Like, he just glides. He glides all over the ice, but he's gliding into the right position. You know, on the broadcast, BK, I'll wrap it up with this for you. We talked about his ability to be 2 and 3 steps ahead of every play. You know, we actually saw the cut. Timmy Paps and our great crew at FanDuel actually had a couple really great clips where we ISO'd him and the puck's coming to him, and all of a sudden out of nowhere he automatically shifted off somewhere else. And it's because he knows where he's going with that puck before it's coming to him. Now, that's going from good to elite. He's on a different level, not only because of what he's doing as far as being ahead of the play. He's so good where he's actually thinking 2 steps ahead for his teammates. I mean, that's a world-class athlete. I mean, we actually referred him to almost to Messi in soccer, where Messi, you watch him play on the soccer field, he's just looking left, looking right. We call him snapshots, right? He's taking snapshots all over the field. He's left, right. The ball's not even near him, but he's constantly shoulder checking. In the World Cup, I forget the exact number, but he did more checks and snapshots looking and surveying the field 3 times more than the next player, which was Mbappe of France. So that's again, the second best player in the world. And he's shoulder checking and taking snapshots 3 times as much as the second best player in the world. So that goes to show you that intelligence comes from anticipation. Intelligence comes from taking all those snapshots and recognizing what's around you. So when you get that ball, you know exactly where he is going to go. And the same thing to me is for you look at the player there in Tampa. He is a player amongst very few where he's not only ahead of his game, he's ahead of his teammates' games, and he's just constantly surveying the snapshots all over the ice. And that's what makes him, to me, just one of the best players right now in the world.
Spatial awareness, man. It's the thing that has stood out to me. I know people go ahead and drink. The Patrick Mahomes effect in the NFL, it's his spatial awareness on the field. Yep. That is maybe his number one attribute. The arm's amazing, obviously. The athleticism jumps off the charts, but it's the spatial awareness that...
Good news for Blues fans. Gavin McKenna has been compared to Nikita Kucherov. So there you go, Joe.
Great.
We'll take it. We'll take it if it comes to that.
All right, Joe. We'll see you on the call tonight. Pre-game coverage starts at 6 with Alex Puck Drop with Joey and Curbs tonight at 7 right here on 101 ESPN and, of course, on FanDuel Sports Midwest. Wish you nothing but the best. We'll talk with you again next week, Joe.
Sounds good, boys. You guys have a great day.
Absolutely. Appreciate the time. It's Joey Vitale joining us as he does each and every Thursday here on BK and Ferrario.
I love Joe and I love Curbs, but you shouldn't be watching them tonight. You should be listening to them right here on 101 ESPN.
That's what I plan to do.
No, you won't.
No, I'm not.
Tanner, can I rely on you?
I will listen. So we go out for dinner on Thursdays. Kara's my mother-in-law, Kara's mom, comes over on Thursdays, hangs out with Luca with us. So we go out for dinner. Typically, we'll grab it and bring it back home. So as I'm in my car, I will be listening to you guys on
I don't want your
ESPN.
I don't want your pity listen. I don't want your pity listen.
Okay.
You turn it on and you leave it on.
Then I won't.
I'm going to text
clip
Kara.
this and make it for the promo.
I'll listen to something else.
I don't want your pity listen. I'm going to text Kara and tell Luca, only listen to the radio tonight.
Okay.
That won't work because Luca wants to see the game.
No chance. He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. We have Keith Law coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, which means it's an early edition of Believe It or Not coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here, the Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues back in action tonight as they host the Florida Panthers. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. Puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Garber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update was brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer. Oh, sing it, boys. Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so
Free, flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be?
Believe it or not, it's just me.
Guys, my toe's back. We're good to go.
Your toe's back. Did you
I didn't
lose
realize
it?
that altered your flight ability.
Yeah, it's been tough to stand.
He's got a broken wing,
3
man.
hours.
You run for
Fly away.
8 miles or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, oh, it ran yesterday. It's so cold out. It hurts my toe.
It has been a little tough to run.
Here's an
He
idea.
has a broken toe. Just got over the flu and said 32-degree weather.
Oh,
I'm going outside
You
and
forgot
running.
one element of this.
What?
Also bought a Peloton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
what
that was
a
5
Peloton.
years ago.
I'm just saying,
For
man. What's
moments
it
like
doing?
this.
Gathering dust in your basement?
Hanging clothes
no,
on it
you're
to
right.
dry.
It's in the winter.
Kid, and now that Peloton room is his playroom, along with the rest of the house.
Hey,
if
I
we're
heard
being
that.
honest.
The entire house is my kids' rooms.
All right, 314-399.
Even my studio has Princess dresses hung
service
up on
text
it.
line for Believe It or Not. You guys give us a scenario. We will tell you if we are believing it or not here on BK and Ferrario. Start out with this. Believe it or not, guys. The Seattle Seahawks and New England Patriots, the two teams that are playing this year for the Super Bowl, at least one of them will miss the playoffs entirely next year. At least one of this year's two Super Bowl contenders will miss the playoffs entirely next season, the way that we saw this year with the Chiefs.
I'm going to say forget it. That's not what we're playing. Not believe
it's
it. Same thing. I think they're going to be in the playoffs next year. I think there's other teams that take a step back in the NFC side of things next year, and I think Seattle's still going to be there because they still have Jackson Smith and Jigba, still have Kenneth Walker, and they're still going to have a pretty damn good defense.
Yeah, I would not believe this. I think both would make the playoffs. I don't see, because like Seattle, the NFC's a little weaker, so I can see their path back in, and they'll have the good defense in theory still, and the offense should be fine. And then I don't think the Patriots are going anywhere. I think if anything, they only get better from here because they still have money to play with because Drake May's on that rookie contract. And I'm not necessarily sure we see I'll put the big three that missed the playoffs, the quarterbacks, Mahomes, Lamar, and Joe Burrow. I'm not sure that all three can really turn it around. I'm not even sure two of the three can really turn it around. So I would say not believe it.
I'm going to say believe it. I think the Seahawks have a real chance to miss the playoffs next year. I think we see these defenses that take this huge step forward, and we're like, man, this is going to last a lifetime. And then the next year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, we're like, wait, what happened? Remember when the Bengals had that dynasty that they were building? Fun defense, Lou Anarumo coming up with all these game plans. Haven't made the playoffs since. The Eagles in 2023, I was like, man, this is going to be amazing. Eagles versus Chiefs every year. Went to the wild card the following season, got absolutely rocked, and their defense was atrocious. Made it back to the Super Bowl 1 year later, but for that next season, weren't able to recapture that form. The San Francisco 49ers. Man, in 2019 and in 2024, they were awesome. And in the years in between, much less awesome. So I think we assume most of the time that these teams are just going to make it back. And I think the Patriots and the Chiefs have made us feel that way. For most of the other teams that have gone up against either the Patriots or the Chiefs, that has not been the case. A lot of them have fallen on their faces the following season. So I'll say not. I'll say believe it. I think one of these two teams at least ends up missing the postseason next year. What do you got for us, Alex?
Guys, believe it or not, we all know in the news now Artemi Panarin has been held out because of trade purposes. Believe it or not, he's reunited with Patrick Kane and is a Detroit Red Wing.
Say that again?
Artemi Panarin held out with the New York Rangers. He'll be reunited with the Detroit Red Wings.
I'll say not. I don't think that's the place he goes.
Yeah, I'll say not either. I don't think he's going to Detroit. I'm not quite sure where he lands. My fear is Washington.
Me too.
But I'm going to say not. I don't think he fits the Yzer.
If anybody has a real concern, it's Colorado where he gets dealt.
That'd be fun almost, in my opinion.
Oh, God,
At
no.
this point, I mean, the Blues are so far out of it, I'm like just rooting for who's going to build a super team.
Somebody asked you remember earlier where they asked like grudges or beef that you have? I've got a beef with the Colorado Avalanche play-by-play guy, Connor McGahey.
Oh, yeah.
You and Grant.
Dude is just insufferable. He was whining about Philadelphia Flyers fans that were cheering on their team in Colorado when Philly kicked the crap out of Colorado. So I want to see that team lose, and I want to see that team lose poorly.
Guys, believe it or not, J.J. Weatherholt will be top 3 in home runs for the Cardinals this season.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I was wondering where you were going with that. Now it makes a lot of sense.
For context, if you take out Contreras, who led the team last year in home runs, third place on the guys that are coming back would be 14 that was hit by Gorman.
I think Herrera will out-homer him. I think Burleson will out-homer him this season. You said top 3, though, right?
Yeah.
It really comes down to how much is Gorman playing this year.
You said Burleson?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say believe it because I think that's the 3 that is at the top.
Yeah, I'll say believe it.
I'm leaning not believe it. I think he'll
Because Gorman's going to hit 40 bombs?
I think he'll just be behind Gorman. There's more
It
power
really
than
comes
14
down
home
to-
runs than Gorman. Also, Newbar. If Newbar is healthy and puts together a good year, I know we continue to wait for it. He's 15 homers, and I think Weatherholt's going to be in that 10 to 15 range. So I think there's a chance Newbar, Gorman outdo him. So I would say I would not believe this.
Let's get to some of these texts. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Believe It or Not. From the 314, guys, believe it or not, Patrick Mahomes will never make it to another Super Bowl.
Not.
So,
I'm not going to believe he's too
I think
good.
he could be back this next season.
from the 314, believe it or not, Jake Neighbors will be the Blues captain next season. I think they will go with no captain next season, and then Jake Neighbors will be the next captain. So I will say not, because I don't think they're going to have a captain next year.
I believe it. They will have a captain if Braden Shen is moved. And if Shen's gone, I think Neighbors is the captain.
I'm with you. I would believe it.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Believe it or not, the Blues can have a turnaround like the Islanders when they got Schaefer if they get a top player in this year's draft.
Would you consider the Islanders a turnaround?
Haven't they been like selling / buying?
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of been in the middle. I mean, you said the Western Conference is underperforming this season. So is the Eastern Conference. I mean, the Islanders are in a playoff spot, which is a turnaround. But I mean, I don't know if they've been this
Islanders have honestly been in a pretty similar spot to the Blues in recent seasons.
Yeah, I don't know if they've been a world beater, but yeah, I mean, if you could find your Matthew Schaefer, yeah, you could be doing what the Islanders are doing. The Islanders got an incredible goaltender, which I think the Blues have. They've got depth on offense. Really good. They've got depth on offense. I'm going to ignore that before the beat gets broken.
I thought that's who you were talking about.
I mean, it can't be anybody else.
Exactly.
Shut up, guys.
I can't believe the other guys on Team Canada.
Just shut up, guys. Yeah, it just comes down to who you draft. And I mean, look, Matthew Schaefer is like we're talking so much about Macklin Celebrini, and rightfully so. Schaefer's doing what Macklin Celebrini's doing, just on the defensive side of things. So I don't think that guy's in this draft. So I'd say not believe it. But if you get the guy, then yeah, believe it.
Yeah, I would lean towards not believe it. I don't know if you're turning it around in a year with just such a high draft pick. I think the Blues have serious issues and need about 2 to 3 years to figure this all out.
I will say, I think the Western Conference is going to be like this again next year, too. I think Edmonton's going to start to falter. Well, I know, but what I'm saying is
how far the Anaheim Ducks were last year.
Yeah.
They were in it for
Look how
5
far the
years
San Jose...
Yeah, but then it took 1 year. They got the right coach. They got a couple of players that helped them out, and they're back in it.
Yeah, the Western Conference beyond the top teams like Colorado and Minnesota, it's everybody else after those two teams. So if you have the right turnaround, it's not from one draft pick. It's from a draft pick and multiple trades.
T-Bone, do you know how many points San Jose had last year?
With Macklin Celebrini, by the way.
60-something?
52.
They have 57 now.
The Blues do. Or the Blues right now have 47.
No, I meant the Sharks.
Understood. I'm saying for the entire season last year, the Sharks, who are currently in a playoff spot, had 52 points.
Again, they had Macklin Celebrini last year, too, who was doing some incredible things. So I think it's open, but it's not just by one draft pick. It's a draft
trying
pick.
to get me to change my answer, and I'm still holding
Well, this is
firm
like you
and
not saying
believing.
Jeremiah Love's not a top 10 pick. He's probably an 11th overall pick.
I rescinded that comment.
I think we overestimate how hard it is to get back into wild card contention.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. It's the same thing that I talk about in baseball. Like, we think we know everything about these teams going into the season, and we just don't. We know a lot about the teams that are going to be at the top and a lot about the teams that are going to be at the very bottom. Everything in between, I don't know, man. Like in baseball last year, I don't think we predicted the exact way that thing was going to go. We're kidding ourselves if we suggest that we did. We didn't know that the Braves were going to end up with 76 wins and that the Marlins were going to be at 79 and that the Reds would be the team that gets into the playoffs. Nobody predicted that. And the same thing is true in the NHL. I don't think anybody was predicting the Sharks to be in the playoffs this season.
Or how about the Jets being one of the worst teams in the NHL?
So, can the Blues get back on track next year and get right back into the playoffs? Yeah, they can.
But again, I don't think it's dictated off of one draft pick. It's a draft pick plus other trades.
I would argue it's different from the Sharks, who we're making a point of here. Is the Sharks were a team that was building momentum, had the guy for a year, got him in the NHL for a year, and now have built on that momentum. The Blues are trending the wrong way.
Yeah, but go back to the Islanders
They have to make
comp.
a bunch of moves.
But go back to the Islanders comp.
Again, I agree with what you said about the Islanders. Are we really saying they're the team? I don't think this is a one-year turnaround project. I think this is going to take the Blues 2, 3, 4 years to figure it out, and I lean more to 3 to 4 years.
It very well might. It could. What I'm saying is I'm just open to the idea that I don't know. Like sometimes the answer is we don't know, and I think in this scenario,
and I want to give the texters a firm answer. Yeah, I say
I did. I said I would believe that they can absolutely get back to the playoffs next year, and I think that we are far too dismissive of the idea that this could be quicker than we're expecting. I think the same thing is true for the Cardinals. I think we suggest like, oh, this is clearly a 5-year rebuild. Based on what?
Yeah.
If the Cardinals get things right over the next couple of seasons, they could be back into the playoffs in 2 years. I don't know if we're playing baseball in 2027, but if we do, the Cardinals could get back into the playoffs in 2027 because the bar is just not that high. The Reds made the playoffs last year, man. That was not a good baseball team. We all watched it. Nobody wanted that last spot in the wild card. So if the Cardinals are going to do a couple of things the right way nowadays, they could get this thing back on track. If the Blues, Jimmy Snuggerud takes a big step forward next year, and Dalibor Dvorsky becomes a legit top 6 center, he becomes, not to the same degree, obviously, but he takes that year 2 jump that we're seeing this year from a Sharks player to be named later. You could see the Blues get better next year because of that.
It all comes down to the dust settling and what other moves look like. Because if you were to tell me, predict into the future, they don't make any other moves other than they just draft somebody 2nd overall, I'd say this is going to be a bad team next year again. If you tell me that they're doing that, plus trading 4 guys off of the roster, 2 core members, and bringing back younger pieces that are playing on their team next year, I'd say there's a chance.
He's Alex, that's T-Bone. I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. I talked a little bit about this with Donnie earlier today. I think it's good sometimes to say, we just don't know. We just don't know.
I always know, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
The Junk Drawer is next year on 101 ESPN. Hey, it's BK for my friends over at Victory Men's Health. I mentioned this earlier today. They're helping me unlock my inner champion. They can do the exact same thing for you. It means different things for different people. For me, it meant going in there, getting a blood draw, and they were able to find out exactly where my micronutrient levels are at. I did this a year ago, doing it again right now. I'm currently in the process. Went there about a week ago, find out where those are at. They're going to give me a call. I put together my next appointment, so then they can personalize a plan for me whenever I get that appointment, they'll be able to then have a monthly setup where they send me personalized supplements every single month to be able to unlock my inner champion. That's what it means for me. For you, maybe it's erectile dysfunction. Maybe it's weight loss goals that you're trying to meet. Maybe it's low testosterone. Could be their vitamin infusions. Maybe you've got a big race. I know I do half marathons. Maybe you've got one coming up in the next couple of months. You want to set something up for that? You can book that appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com. They have 4 great locations across the St. Louis area. It's all at Victory Men's Health. Unlock your inner champion today at victorymenshealth.com. From Tad from Tennessee, Alex, you look cute today.
Thad, you said?
Tad.
Thanks, Tad.
From Tennessee.
I appreciate it, man. This is one of my favorite suits. I like this one.
It looks good.
It used to not fit, but, stays from the fitness center now. I'm getting into it a little bit. Ugh. Seriously, though, the pants are way too slim fit. Edward over at Suits for Men, when I went over there, I said, I like the slim fit pants, and misunderstood what I meant. I like them looking slim. I don't want them to feel slim.
Well, yeah.
A little tight around the legs, if you know what I mean. Every time I bend down, it's just, uh-oh.
Okay, so for the junk drawer today.
What do you got going on this weekend?
Yeah, right. I need help.
Well,
for a lot of reasons.
We know that, man.
Yeah. The main reason that I would like to discuss today, boy, are we having trouble getting Luka to wear to put on clothes and to take them off.
Tell him to go out in no clothes, man. You'll feel it.
Not my level. I'll turn my mic off.
You don't have this problem, man, where you can't get your kids to put on clothes?
No, I don't have that fight. Yeah.
So I know there's going to be some people that text in right now. When I ask for parenting advice, I know I'm asking for it, but there will be some that say, you're the parent, you do this, blah, blah, blah.
Hey,
understood.
Before we get into this, though, you're doing a great job of parenting, man. Don't let anybody tell you anything differently. People
I'm asking
suck.
for advice, so that comes my way, and I understand it. So last night, we're trying to put Luca down. It's like 8:30. Trying to get him down by about 9 or so. And we go to his room. We start talking. All right, what are we going to wear to bed tonight? Blah, blah. We give him a couple options. He doesn't want this. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want this. He doesn't want that. He wants to wear the same shirt that he wore last night to bed. I'm like, nah, buddy, that's dirty. Here are a couple other shirts. He only wears blue stuff right now. He's exclusively wearing Blues hats, blue shirts, mostly blue pants. It's kind of the direction that we're heading in right now. Here are the 4 other blue shirts that we could wear, dude. Like, these are all great. Which one would you like to wear? And none of those. So we go through it. I eventually am like, all right, listen, like, you're putting this shirt on. This is the one we're wearing. We're going this direction. My wife says, yo, out of the room.
To Luke, obviously, right?
Nope.
BK felt like, I'm laying down the law. They'll only be in the family room a minute later.
And Kara's like, I'm taking over. About an hour later, he's finally getting ready to go to bed. So it's like 9:30. Now this morning, he's tired because, he didn't go to bed as early as he probably should have. I'm not blaming Kara, I promise you that. But I'm just like, what's your call? What do you do in this spot? Are there any, like, tips of the trade that we could get at from somebody that's been through the 2 to 3 toddler years where they start getting these strong opinions? This morning he woke up and decided he's not getting dressed, and so he's like kicking and screaming as we're attempting to put on his diaper. Today I just had to eventually take over and be like, yo, you're putting this diaper on and I will make sure that you're held down, and we're putting the diaper on one way or another. We got to be out the store by 9:10. Yeah. There's no other way about it. Anything else? Or is it just like, hey, man, I'm dad, you're kid, this is the way we're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own parenting stuff. And, I mean, Katie and I have fully embraced the gentle parenting thing to where it's like, look, we're not going to go in there and just start screaming and doing things. But at some point, it's exactly what you said. We got to leave. So you've got 2 options. You can put the clothes on yourself. This is what I tell our middle child, because Emma's the one that has the strong opinion. Adelaide does as well. But Adelaide, at some point, she just realizes, okay, I got to do it. And Olivia, you're not there yet, kiddo. So you just have to do what we tell you. But with Emma, it's, look, we have to go at this time. Like, we have to be out the door at 8:15.
Yep.
You've got 5 minutes. You can put these clothes on for you, which is going to make you happy. Or daddy's going to put these clothes on for you, which is going to make you mad. But either way, the clothes are going on. And then I'll walk out of the room, and then I'll come back in, and they won't be on. And then so I sit down with her, and I say, cool, you made your decision. Now we have to put our clothes on. And she'll scream. She'll get upset. I do it as calmly as I can, and then we get in the car, and she screams for about 15 minutes and then calms down, and then we talk. I mean, that's how we handle it. The biggest thing is making sure that you're both on the same page, and that's the hardest part.
From the 314, when I was a toddler, I would strip naked, then run outside naked until my parents or the neighbors came to catch me. So at least we haven't arrived there.
Let's hope you never arrive there, buddy.
I guess. Let's just. What are you gonna do?
Yep, there's nothing you could do with it, man. But yeah, I mean, we.
Somebody said a 9 p.m. bedtime for a 2 to 2.5-year-old is crazy. He wakes up at like 8 or 9, so he gets his 11 or 12 hours. We're fine.
Also, like, let's not act like kids. It's easy to just tell them to go to bed at 7:30 and act like it's all fine.
Everybody's got a different thing. Like, some people have to get up at 5 a.m., and if you do, and your kids have to be at school by 7 or whatever, like, yeah, you go to bed earlier. We have our schedule. It works for us. But yeah, man, it's tough.
This is the hardest. Like, it's so fascinating to me, the narrative on having kids, because I was always under the belief that when you have a newborn, it is the most difficult thing in the world. I would take having a newborn every single day of the week over going through toddlers, because, man, when they get their opinions and you're trying not to, like, break them emotionally or mentally, whew, by 8 o'clock every night, by the time I get them in their bed and they're staying in their rooms, I have to sit down in silence in a dark room and meditate for about 15 minutes on where I'm at in life. But then we wake up and we do it all over again, because, God, I love my kids. It's fun, man. Last night we went sledding over at my mom's, and afterwards I told you we were at a restaurant. I took Adelaide to the bathroom, and in the middle of her going to the bathroom, which, what a time to do it, she just looks up and she goes, Daddy, this was the best day ever.
That's the moment.
Just tugs at your heartstrings, man.
Like, the other 12 hours could have been absolute hell.
Yep.
You get that one moment. The next 6 weeks are good.
And you do it every day of the week.
That's it. That's all you need.
You could scream in my ear for the next 24 hours.
Yep.
That's all I needed to hear. And then when they tell you that they love you before you go to bed, it's like, cool, I'm a happy man. That's all I need. So don't worry about the clothes, man. Everybody does it their own way. At some point, he's probably going to end up like the texter and running around naked. And he'll figure out that you just can't do that.
And then we'll have that for the junk drawer. Coming up in 15 minutes, Keith Flaw joins the show. Major League Baseball prospect writer. You can find his work over at The Athletic. Broke down the Cardinals system earlier today. We'll talk to Keith coming up at 1:15. But next, what can you realistically expect from a top 3 overall selection in the NHL Draft? We did a little research on that yesterday. We'll bring it to you next year on 101 ESPN. The big game is right around the corner, and you better be getting in on all of the action over on the Underdog app. Alex, they have a boost builder. Ooh. The more you play, the bigger the boost you get. It's all available for you right now over on the Underdog app. I've got my picks in right now. I've got Kenneth Walker. Yeah, he's going to score a touchdown. Drake May, I think the shoulder thing might be real for him. I'm going to go lower on his passing yards in this game, and then give me Travion Henderson higher on 18.5 rushing yards. I think you could get that on maybe one big rush in this game. Put that all together. $5 entry could win me $23. It's easy as that over on the Underdog app.
And make sure you're checking out that app daily. There's going to be new promos dropping in the Underdog app. So if you like making entries and winning money, then Underdog is the place to be for the upcoming big game. So download the Underdog app today. Use promo code BKO to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
T-Bone told me at 1:30 we've got Beat the Blues.
Tease it.
You're going to be going up against
Nathan Walker.
Nathan
The little
Walker
Aussie.
at 1:30. So text in right now, 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. If you can beat the Blues, just say, I can beat the Blues over on the text line. We will pick 3 lucky contestants today to go up against Nathan Walker. By the way, appreciate all of you on the text line. Some of you have been very kind, some of you less so, but all of you I do appreciate for the advice on how we can figure this thing out at bedtime with our little guy. Coming up in 10 minutes, we'll talk to Keith Law. I think really good breakdowns on prospects. We'll talk to him about the Cardinals prospects here in just a little bit. But Alex, yesterday, I sent you a list of every top 3 selection in the last 15 to 20 years in the NHL. And we went over this off air, how many of these guys were actually successful, how many of them would legitimately change the outlook for your franchise in some way or another. And the answer was like 50-50.
Yeah, it was about a 50% clip.
You went through last night and took it a step further. Because you've been very much on board with, I'm not really interested in taking a defenseman in the top 3. If that's where the Blues end up, I don't want them to take a defenseman. What did you learn after looking at what the history suggests is the hit rate on defensemen in the top 3?
Yeah, so you isolated it all the way back to 2006 when the Blues selected Eric Johnson. So 20 years of first 3 picks. There was about 17 defensemen in that window. Oh, I'm sorry. There were 13 defensemen in that window that were drafted in the top 3. 13 defensemen. And 6 of them I would label as franchise-altering drafts positively. Now, there were 2 of them that I just can't judge. Like, Levshinov was drafted 2 years ago by the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't know how to label that. And then Owen Power was drafted, or not Owen Power, Simon Nemec was drafted by the Devils. I don't know how to label that because he's just playing in his first year in the NHL. Okay. But other than that, you're talking 11 defensemen, and 6 of them were franchise-altering in a positive way. So you're looking at about a 50% clip of defensemen being franchise-altering. But this was the part that I looked at, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't know if that's how I would label these guys. Victor Hedman, Drew Doughty, Matthew Schaefer was the other one that popped up, and I want to make sure I don't butcher. Oh, Rasmus Dahlin. Miro Heiskanen. Those were the 5 defensemen that I looked at, and I'm saying, okay, if I find that guy, then sure, it makes complete sense. Those guys were probably number 1 overall picks, if not for the guys that were drafted in front of them. I mean, you're talking like guys Connor McDavid, Steven Stamkos. They were clear-cut number 1 defensemen, but there was just so much better players in front of them that you had to select that guy. I don't think that defenseman exists in this draft. There's an argument for all 3 of them to be selected. So 50% clip is about what the same clip is of being successful with a 3rd or a top 3 pick in the draft. Right now, you're just rolling the dice. But for me, it doesn't make any sense to roll the dice on a position that I think you're already strong enough in versus a position that you don't have anything in. Because I looked at the wingers, that's also a 50%
So I was
clip.
about to say, if the success rate is the same, historically speaking, we'll see on these individual players, every case is different. Every situation is different. That's worth noting. And the Blues, I think, have done a pretty good job of developing, so maybe they help increase that. Instead of 50% in a neutral organization, it'd be 60% here. Yeah. Who knows, right? But for them, if it's similar in terms of the hit rates, defensemen versus forwards, I would just lean forward.
Yeah.
So long as there's not a significant difference in the prospect status for the 2, and it doesn't seem, based upon all neutral reports right now, that there is, I would lean forward, given what the Blues are currently lacking on their NHL roster. Because when you pick in the top 3, you expect these guys to contribute sooner rather than later. This is not like when you're selecting in the middle to late first round, where those guys might be multiple years away. This guy might be at the NHL level next season. Like, opening night, they could break the club with you. In fact, for a lot of these players, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, that's what you expect to happen. I mean, you go through, and this might be the other thing I'll do because I didn't think of it, but you go through the top 3 picks. I would say more than a 60% clip of guys are playing for their team the next season that they were drafted. If the defenseman is clear-cut a franchise-altering guy, and I don't know this because I'm not in the meeting with the front office staff, but we touched on this Monday, T-Bone. The Blues typically have a pretty good success rate when it comes to where they've been drafting, and now you're giving them something that they never had before, and that's a top 3 pick. I'm leaning towards the area that I don't have a lot of, and that's difference makers offensively.
He's Alex Ferrario. That's Tanner Hendrickson, and I'm Brandon Kiley. In 15 minutes, we'll play Beat the Blues. It is going to be against Nathan Walker today. The winner will go home with a signed hockey puck by Nathan Walker and tickets to see the Blues play against the Seattle Kraken on February 26th. We'll have 3 lucky contestants. They are all via the text line. If you want to be a part of it, text in I can beat the Blues right now to 314-399-9646. That is all coming up in about 15 minutes. Coming up next, Keith Law, one of the best prospect writers in the business. He was formerly in a front office. What does he think about the future of the Cardinals and some of the young players that are coming through their system? We'll ask Keith Law about that next year on 101 ESPN. Keith Law writes about baseball for The Athletic. He wrote about Major League prospects over the last few days. He's done a ranking of the top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball. Today, he put out his top 30 farm systems across the league. The St. Louis Cardinals were in tier 3 of that ranking at number 11 overall. It's moving up.
Hell yeah.
And I would imagine it's going to continue doing so over the next year or two as Chaim Bloom remains in charge of the Cardinals farm system. Keith Law joins us now via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Always appreciate his time. Keith, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
We're doing really well. So we are in a mode right now in St. Louis that we haven't been in quite some time, Keith. We are looking toward the future, not the present. And it's foreign territory. I think Cardinals fans find it somewhat refreshing because it's been frustrating in recent seasons. I do want to ask you this as a big picture view on the Cardinals' future outlook. How would you say they've done over the last year or so of overhauling their minor league system? And you could take that in any direction you'd like.
I think they've done a fantastic job. Particularly, look, they brought in Rob Serfolio to take over player development after Gary LaRocque retired. And Rob brought in some people from Cleveland, some people from other organizations, and really set about modernizing all of player development. He did so, obviously, with the imprimatur of Chaim Bloom to go in and make pretty wholesale changes. And you saw results almost immediately with multiple players in the system. I had people say to me in the comments at The Athletic, well, Jordan Walker didn't get better. I'm not talking about big leaguers. That is a separate challenge, and that's not irrelevant, but I'm talking about what happened with guys who are still in the player development pipeline, who are still under the purview of the minor league departments, and you saw a lot of guys get better. And we can talk about some of those specific guys, but those are the kinds of improvements, physical changes, mechanical changes, approach changes that we just hadn't been seeing in St. Louis for a really long time. They went from an organization I thought was one of the laggards in terms of developing players to a team that's probably actually among the leaders.
Positionally, Keith, where would you say the Cardinals minor league system or prospect pool that they have is the strongest?
It's catching, right? Isn't that always the answer? I feel like we could have this conversation every year.
Yeah, but
it's not even just catchers; it's catchers from Panama. I don't know what it is, but if there is a catcher in Panama, somewhere in that guy's backyard, hiding behind a hedge, is a Cardinals scout ready to sign him.
Yeah, but for some reason, Keith, they never turn out to be catchers at the big leagues. They're always first basemen or outfielders.
Well, Herrera's, I know people crush that guy for his defense. He's young. I think there's plenty of time. You know what? If he doesn't work out, Raynel Rodriguez is coming and Leo Bernal is coming. They have Jimmy Crooks is not Panamanian, but we'll allow it. He is also a prospect. He's probably at least a big league backup for somebody at some point. I mean, they have a lot of catching depth, and I would just argue here, too, there's no such thing as too much catching, right? Because obviously not everyone sticks as a catcher. They get hurt at a really high rate, and if you still have surplus, you can trade from that because there will always be 10 to 12 teams looking for an upgrade behind the plate.
On the flip side of that question, Keith, where would you say they're weakest at in their position pool?
Top of my head, especially if we're just setting the catchers aside for a moment, not a lot of power in the system. I think we're getting a little bit more like Josh Baez, who always had power but could hit. He has emerged as a legitimate everyday, potential everyday player. They have not had success with those power hitting prospects, and I think a lot of it's a combination too of I don't think they drafted a lot of those guys, probably knowing they didn't have the expertise to develop them as overall hitters. That could change. There are changes coming on the amateur staff, but also I know there are changes to the philosophy of how they're drafting. When you know you can develop certain types of players, look at Cleveland, where Serfolio came from, right? They identified categories of pitchers they knew they could make better, and then they kept going after them in the draft repeatedly, and that's how they ended up with Tanner Bibby in the 5th round and Aaron Scavali in, I think he was like the 11th round or something. Later picks they could bring in and turn into better pitchers because they knew this is our core competence in development, so let's make sure that scouting is going after those types of players.
We're talking to Keith Law here on 101 ESPN, Major League Baseball writer for The Athletic. You can read his work over there. He's got his ranking of the top 100 prospects, also the ranking of the farm systems across Major League Baseball available for you right now. You've mentioned Rainiel Rodriguez, Keith, and I wanted to ask you about him because he's somebody that absolutely flew up the rankings. I don't believe he was ranked in your top 100 a year ago. Now he's all the way up.
I'm not even sure. Was he on my top 20? I have to look. I mean, he blew up this year.
Now he's all the way into your top 30 nationally, like in the entire system, not just for the Cardinals. Keith, how did he make such a jump? Where did this come from for him?
Well, I think it was a little bit of physical maturation. A lot of it was opportunity, too. He played more last year. He got moved up and continued to hit at even after the promotion. And, when guys also particularly, this is specific to, I would say, generally international free agents. It doesn't really matter what country they come from. They'll play in the Dominican Summer League. We see the production there, and there's some data from there, but it's very unreliable. Most major league teams have 2 affiliates down there, so it's extremely watered-down competition. A lot of hitters especially can go down there and post huge on-base percentage. You're like, he's really patient. It's like, no, he just doesn't swing the bat because nobody can throw a strike. That is a good short-term survival strategy. It does not make you a prospect. When those guys who do some things down there come over to the U.S., even just to go to the complex league, then we get more reliable data, more reliable scouting looks. Of course, a lot of those guys are, when you're 17 turning 18, your body may change a lot in a year, and you may get a lot stronger. And I think we saw many of these things happening with Rodriguez. I'll just say for me personally, having scouts from many other teams saying, oh, no, that guy's really good. Like, he does everything. It's hard contact. It's power. It's a good approach. And he's going to stay behind the plate. Great. Okay, that's where, at that point, you tell me you can do all those things, I'm going to move you way up the ranking.
Keith, in St. Louis, we've seen Wilson Contreras get moved, Nolan Arenado, Sonny Gray get moved, but the man that I think everybody is still talking about is Brendan Donovan. There's been plenty of rumors that, he's a hot commodity right now on the market, and we don't know what's going to take place. So from your perspective, Keith, do you think that should be a necessity by the Cardinals to trade Brendan Donovan this offseason?
So I don't usually get much on the trade market. I happen to hear just in the last week or so that other teams feeling like the asking prices were really high. Like the Cardinals were aiming high in terms of return in prospect. I think there was even a rumor of the Giants were. I know the Giants had been interested in Donovan. I think that's pretty public. They were supposedly talking about putting Josué Gonzalez into a C.J. Abrams deal. If that's what the Cardinals are trying to do, then they're probably not going to end up trading Donovan. If they're aiming that high, the thing I look at with the Cardinals, it's not like you have to trade Donovan now because his value is going to disappear. I feel like you have incentive to trade Donovan because J.J. Weatherholt is ready. Like, I want J.J. Weatherholt to be in the big league. He's one of the few guys on this list where I feel pretty confident he should be on the opening day roster. I think he's ready. I don't think he has anything left to prove or learn in AAA. Let him come, and if he struggles in the big leagues, fine. That's part of the learning process. That, to me, is the much stronger incentive. They may have to change what they're asking for, but they also have probably a month and a half before there's sort of a soft, it's not a deadline, but a threshold at which point it would be, oh, wait, we're actually starting the season with Donovan and we have to change our plans.
So one more follow-up on this, Keith, because I've got this fascination with Laz Montez from the Seattle Mariners. Is that asking too much if it's Brendan Donovan going in return?
I would, if I were the Mariners, and you said it was Montez and then a lesser prospect, I would be fine doing that because Montez is such a high-risk, high-reward prospect. I mean, for folks who don't know, he hits the ball unbelievably hard. He is huge. And there's some swing and miss there, though. Like, that is going to be a constant challenge to get him to keep the contact rate just high enough so that the power plays. He's not just big, but he's very tall, and it's just a constant issue for extremely tall hitters, 6'6", 6'7", especially. Can't believe I just said that. Like Aaron Judge, who, the strike zone is huge. It took Judge a long time to manage his strike zone, learn his strike zone to the point where he could become obviously one of the best hitters in baseball. Most guys who are 6'7", 6'8" don't do that. And so Montez, I think he's listed at 6'7". He's somewhere up there. There's risk, but it's 35 homer upside. And so I would understand wanting him in return. I don't know that you're going to get much more than that because of the potential upside that he offers.
Yeah, we've lived that world with the Jordan Walker experience. Not 6'7", but 6'6" nonetheless.
Yeah, and a big strike zone. Right?
Yep.
It's just a natural challenge, and I don't blame these players. I think it's a really hard thing for them to overcome. I just credit the ones who are able to do it.
All right, final question that I had on the Cardinals prospect as we're talking to Keith Law here on 101 ESPN. Keith, J.J. Weatherholt is seemingly like such a high floor prospect and also has the potential to be an all-star at the major league level. But I did want to ask you about the top three position players seemingly in their system right now, which is Weatherholt, Rodriguez, who we had already mentioned, and then Baez, Joshua Baez, who had this unbelievable year last year in the minor leagues as well. If I put those three players in front of you and said, not who do you think is going to be, the most consistent player at the major league level, but if they all hit their 80th percentile outcomes or better, which of those players do you think has the best potential or the highest potential of being a star at the major league level? Which one of them would you pinpoint?
I think Rodriguez, because of the positional value, because I think it's a 20 to 25 home run catcher who hits for high averages and gets on base at a pretty good clip and seems to have at least pretty good feel for the strike zone already, and is an actual catcher, not one of these sort of Contreras types where it's like, well, you can tolerate the catching as long as he's hitting, but maybe someone better comes along. And then those guys are, they get bumped off the position or they just age out of it. Whereas Rodriguez, I think everything sounds like he's going to be a catcher for the long haul. Whereas Weatherholt, I think your description was very apt. It's a high floor. There is a scenario where he just becomes a consistent leader in batting average every year. He's such a good hitter. I don't know that he ever hits 20 homers in a season. I don't know that he ever needs to. I think he's going to be super valuable regardless. But I don't think he's ever putting up like a 7-8 win season. And Rodriguez could. If he really hits that 80th percentile outcome, I think that's possible.
Do you think Bo Bichette is a reasonable comparison for what kind of offensive production Cardinals fans should expect out of J.J. Weatherholt?
I mean, the good Bo Bichette, right? We saw a lot of up and down with him the last couple of years, but you're talking about his better years. Yeah, I could see that. I think Weatherholt has always had a little better feel for the strike zone. I mean, one thing, and I liked Bo Bichette in high school. His swing is weird and ugly, and he is just one of those guys where it's like a freakish hand-eye coordination. He can make it work. Weatherholt, you're going to see that swing, and you'll be like, well, that's just a work of art, right? Like, that is just a beautiful left-handed swing. It's exactly how you draw it up. Perfect angle. I can talk launch angles, but, yeah, that's what it looks like, right? You're putting the ball in the air on a line consistently. This isn't a thing to worry about, but I could see him being a player who just gets underrated because it looks so easy. Oh, hey, J.J. Weatherholt hit another double to the gap. Because that's just what he does. It's a day ending in Y. He just had 3 hits. He is that kind of player. It is not going to be big fly home runs. It's not going to be superstar defense. But you'll look up at the end of the season, and it's 4 to 5 WAR.
Yeah, it's a hell of a player. It's a really good baseball player. And if you accumulate enough of those, you've got a shot. Yeah. And that's what the Cardinals are trying to do right now. Hey, Keith, appreciate the time as always, man. Really great to be able to catch up with you. Hopefully, if there is some kind of a Brendan Donovan trade at some point in the next month to 6 weeks, we'll be able to catch up again and see what kind of return they're able to get for him.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks, Keith. That's Keith Law. Appreciate his time as always joining us here on VK and Ferrario. Find it interesting. There seems to be a little bit of a changing of the tune for some of the national landscape on who the best bet is for the Cardinals to get a star out of their minor league system. I've seen some now say, hey, that's actually Baez. Keith just mentioned, hey, it's Rodriguez. Man, I am so curious to see the response to J.J. Weatherholt this year. I'm so curious to see it. Not in a bad way, but man, if he's just a really good baseball player, I want to see what the reaction is to that.
And that's the thing, man. It's like if you could hit on all 3 of them to where 2 of the 3 are stars, but the other one is like what Keith just described. Or let's say Rodriguez is a 25 to 30 home run hitter. Baez is a 25 to 30 home run hitter. They've got their issues, but that's what they're giving you on a nightly basis. And then J.J. Weatherholt is a guy that every night you're saying, oh, wow, 2 doubles, 3 hits. But he's not the 25 to 30 home run hitter. He's not the star. Is that enough? And that'll be fascinating to see what the Cardinals develop with and what Cardinals fans react to.
The thing is, that is a success story by any metric.
Totally.
In development, in acquiring talent, like everything about that should be celebrated. That is a win for the Cardinals. but it will not be celebrated until they put the team around J.J. Weatherholt to maximize what his strengths are instead of, in some ways, exposing what he's not, right? Because what J.J. Weatherholt, it doesn't sound like, based upon all neutral parties, does not sound like he's the kind of guy that's going to bat third or fourth in an order, and you feel really good about him hitting in that area for a contender for the next decade.
Did you hear like Matt Carpenter vibes when he was talking about him? You look up day that ends in Y, it's a
very
double.
early
career Matt Carpenter.
Not,
Before he became,
not the pole power hitter Carpenter.
I just keep hearing better version of Brendan Donovan.
Which is it's part of the reason why I also think you should trade Brendan Donovan for Las Montez to try and go get another shot at that other star that has that power.
That's a really good baseball player. I love Brendan Donovan. I think he's awesome. You need oomph in the middle of your order, and he just mentioned that that's something that they seem to be lacking, not only at the major league level, but also in the minors. It's going to take some time to get there, but hopefully they're able to get more of it. All right, it's 1:37. We're already way over. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. If you guys missed any of that interview, definitely think it's worth your time. Check it out on the podcast page after the show today, 101ESPN.com, the free 101 ESPN app. We've got Beat the Blues against Nathan Walker next year on 101 ESPN.
Ferrario with your Sports Center update, which is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues are back in action tonight, taking on the Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers. They're wearing their retro jerseys tonight, by the way. It's going to be a good one. We've got your coverage starting at 6 o'clock for the First Community Credit Union pregame show. Puck Drop with Curbs and Joey comes your way at 7. Beat the Blues against Nathan Walker comes your way next. The Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
All right, I'm going to get you connected to the board here, Andrew.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN.
Y'all need to answer your phone when you text in to try and beat the Blues.
Hey, relax. We said 1:30. It's 1:45.
No, my poor guy over
It's
here.
on us, not on them.
My poor guy over here, T-Bone's just
We've
been
got to get going.
scrambling.
Beat the Blues is a game we play each and every week. Today, you're going up against Nathan Walker. The winner will go home with a signed hockey puck by Nathan Walker and tickets to see the Blues play against the Kraken coming up on February 26th. We've got 3 contestants. Andrew, Bill, and Charlie are all on the line. They will all be going up against Nathan Walker. We'll see who can name the most things within a specific category in 15 seconds. We begin today with Andrew. Andrew's going up against Nathan Walker. Andrew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing really well. Do you understand the rules of the game?
Yes, sir.
All right, Andrew, your category today. You're going to name as many things as you can in 15 seconds that you would bring with you on vacation. Things that you would bring with you on vacation. On your mark, get set, go.
Cooler, beach ball, towel, swimsuit, goggles, snorkel, skis, helmet, goggles, boots, gloves, coat, ski pants, face mask, hand warmers.
Andrew's going skiing.
14. No, he's going swimming or skiing.
Yeah, he's doing both.
Yeah, I was going to say, where are you
I
going,
got
man?
14 because I think we got 2 goggles.
I got 14. Yeah, so
as
I
well.
think he's going to Colorado to ski.
Ski goggles, swim goggles.
Yeah,
See?
you got to specify, Andrew. If you want both, you got to specify.
Yeah, nice try, Andrew.
I mean, 14's pretty good.
It's fantastic.
You and your weird vacations.
I mean, great vacations. I'd like to go on both of those. Let's hear how Nathan Walker did in this category.
T-shirts, shorts, jackets, towels, toothbrush, toothpaste,
Important.
shoes, sandals, undies.
Gotta bring him.
about
Gotta bring him.
There's something about the Aussie saying undies is just funny.
I've got a 9.
I got 9,
It's
but
a
I should-
plus 5.
should give him-
Leader in the clubhouse for our guy, Andrew.
Style points for that.
Well, let's go back
sexy
out to
voice.
the phone line to hear from Bill. Bill, you're going up against Nathan Walker today. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing really great. So, Bill, do you understand the rules of the game?
Yes, I do.
All right, Bill, your category today. Name as many things as you can that you would find in the ocean. Things that you would find in the ocean. On your mark, get set, go.
Seashells, sands, whales, fish, Nemo, Dory, surfboard, water shoes, octopus, squid, shark.
I got 11.
Got 11. That's a pretty good round.
Good one.
I wasn't sure how he would react to that. That's a little bit of a curveball there. I
I
like
also
it.
loved how he went to Finding Nemo to get some inspiration.
I don't blame him.
Hey, you got to
I
keep
got
going.
kids.
Amen to that.
I get that, Bill. All right, let's hear Nathan Walker. He's an Aussie. Does he know what's in the ocean?
Fish, octopus, squid, sharks, dolphins, turtles, coral, shipwrecks, divers, propellers, treasure.
He said treasure right at the buzzer?
It was right at the buzzer, so give him 11.
That's 11. That's an even. I could listen to him talk all day.
He said coral, and it sounded like Carl, and I'm like, does that mean Carl's in the ocean? It's coral.
Did you just picture the Walking Dead thing?
Carl!
Good round, Bill.
Great.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Nathan Walker was able to get even with you.
Sorry,
and
Bill.
Andrew had one hell of a round. All right, let's go out to Charlie. Charlie's on the line right now.
Charlie!
How you doing, man?
Great. How are you all doing today?
What's up, Chuck?
Living the dream.
He didn't get it.
Yeah, I mean, he did. He's probably heard it 100 times in his life.
Sorry, Charlie. I didn't mean that.
Sorry,
Alex
Charlie.
is that friend that
Yeah,
always
he
does
just
it.
went for it. God bless it, man. All right, Charlie. I
you, man.
apologize for my co-host.
No, I love
do you
you, man.
understand the rules of the game?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Okay.
Charlie.
Charlie, your category today. Name as many types of cheese as you can in 15 seconds. Types of cheese. On your mark, get set, go.
Stilton, Brie, Cheddar, Swiss, Havarti, Gouda, yellow cheddar, white cheddar, provolone, pepper jack cheese.
And then I'll give him white cheddar. I'm not going to give you yellow cheddar when you said cheddar.
Sharp cheddar.
I could go with that.
Okay. I'll give him 10.
Boy, if that's the reason he wins, people are going to
I
be
know.
angry.
He
I
got
like it, though, Charlie.
I think Charlie's a charcuterie board aficionado.
He named like the first 5 cheeses that I've never heard of before.
That was well done by him. All right,
No
let's
blue
hear-
cheese, though. I mean, what are you doing here, Charlie?
Ooh,
All right.
that's a good one.
Anyway.
Nathan Walker, do you know your cheeses?
Parmesan, brie, Camembert, cheddar, Swiss, provolone,
jeez.
pepper jack,
Charlie.
American, cheddar. I said it right. Yeah, I said that one.
I got 8.
American, better known as T-bone cheese.
Good stuff.
I had 8.
Little squares.
The little squares that get stuck to the
Single
plastic.
packs.
Charlie, I'm sorry, man. I loved you, but that wasn't
well
good
done.
enough.
That was a +2. Bill had an even. Andrew, though, is our winner today. He's going home with a signed hockey puck by Nathan Walker and tickets to see the Blues play against the Kraken coming up on February 26th. Andrew, great round, man. Congratulations. Appreciate you being a part of the show. Well done.
Let's go Blues. Bah, bah, bah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Andrew, my son would be proud. Well done, my friend. Coming up next, we're hitting the rewind here on BK and Ferrario. Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app.
You
It's all
word I
sponsored
can't
by
say on the air. Schaefer Door
the
Company.
101 ESPN app. Super easy to use. It's free to download, and it is sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. It's 154. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. I will say this for us, Alex. Even when we are completely off clock, because of an interview in the 1 o'clock hour, we still get out before the TMA does.
Dude, same on Monday. Monday, we got backed up in the first hour. I was like, there was 2 minutes before the top of the hour on questions and answers. And by the end of the show, at the fast lane at 2:01.
Figure it out. You figure it out
Get
over
it
time,
done.
big boy. Blues
by the
back in
way-
action this evening against the Florida Panthers. We have no idea. The coach doesn't know who's going to be on the ice for the Blues tonight. But you'll be able to hear all the action right here on 101 ESPN starting at 6 o'clock with Alex for pregame coverage, and then Joey and Curbs starting at 7.
Shen, Snuggerud, Broberg, Dvorsky. They're all playing tonight, guys.
That's great.
I know who's out there. Honestly, I don't even think I know who the goalie is. So probably Hofer. Probably
Yeah,
Hofer.
They're not going back-to-back with Bennington.
Yeah, it's over.
What are you trying to
I
accomplish
don't
this
know
year?
who Florida's going to play because they have not been going back-to-back either. But
My guess is
Bobrovsky started the last game on Tuesday. They've been going every other recently.
Well, there you go. Well, then, so you just clued
backup,
yourself
probably.
in to find out who the goalie is.
Sam Reinhart, another really good season. You know who's having a great year this year compared to what I expected, Alex? Sam Bennett.
Yeah.
19 goals. They paid him. He stayed. And he's making good on that big deal that they decided to give him. Good thing they did, because they're still a legit playoff team, and I don't think they would be if they were without Matthew Tkachuk and didn't have Sam Bennett.
Well, and Barkov. I mean, Barkov's been out this
good
whole
point.
season. By the way,
That's crazy.
I know. Reinhardt's not doing that elsewhere, though. Reinhardt's not putting up 19 goals somewhere else. Reinhardt is, and I'm not trying to take anything away from
Reinhart
him.
or Bennett?
Oh, I'm sorry, Bennett.
Okay.
Bennett's not doing that unless he's playing with the Florida Panthers. He's not getting those types of goals, and he would have signed a more bloated contract. I think he was the right decision for him to remain this pace with that team.
It's pretty amazing, man. They have not had for most of the season, arguably, they're two best players in my opinion. And it just doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, when you get Reinhardt, who's an incredible player, Sam Bennett plays to the style. You know, they've got a couple of guys who have just risen.
Marchand, who has 25 freaking goals.
Marchand is really the reason why they continue to have success, because this is a guy that they didn't expect. But then they've got Luosterainen, they've got Lundell. The Florida Panthers have done an incredible job not only drafting guys and developing them into being top 6, top 9 guys, but they just go out there and they acquire the best talent and they play a style. This goes back to the segment we talked about in the open. They play a style that even when their game isn't there and you don't have your best center and your best forward, the style allows them to compete.
They are what Vegas was supposed to be, where like they win and then they just sustain it for a really long period of time. Vegas basically had this model, and Florida said, we'll just do that better.
Yeah.
Well, what they're doing, we're in Miami area, and why can't we be what they are?
It's because Florida has the guys
great.
and they just stick with the guys. Vegas kept wanting more and getting greedy, and sometimes that doesn't pan out for
Good
you.
point. They kept the guys that were the culture setters.
Yeah. The entire locker room knows how to play a certain way. Boston did this, and it's why they were so dominant for the longest time. You bring in complementary pieces that help, but the core in place is like, hey, you play this way, and if you don't play this way, you're not going to be a part of this team.
By the way, Andrew, who won in our last segment, that's Mahomes' long buddy. So congratulations to him for going home with a pair of tickets to see the Blues and to get the signed hockey puck.
Do I need to go ahead and finish?
By Nathan Walker.
Do I need to go back and look through his receipts and find out if he likes us
he
or not?
holds us accountable, and I think that's important.
Sure.
If you guys missed anything from the show, be sure to check it out at the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, the free 101 ESPN app, or always on YouTube at youtube.com/101ESPN STL. That is also where you can see the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast. Already more than 1,500 views over there. You could be one of the next. Just check it out on the YouTube page right now, youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. It is our usual Friday. Tomorrow we'll have Mike McKenna joining us here on the show. We'll see what we do for the 1 o'clock
we
segment.
won't be here for 1:15.
And we'll talk to you then. The Fast Lane's next here on 101 ESPN.